No sound?
All right, we can hear you now, Mark. Can you hear us, Mark?
All right. Yeah, I got you as well. So we're good to go now?
Sounds like it. I'll start recording.
All right, good job.
Recording in
Good work.
progress.
All right, we've got the recording going, so we will open the Conservation Commission meeting for August 21st. Then we'll start with roll call. Richard, you want to start? We'll go
Richard
around from there.
Johnson's here.
Louis Puga's here.
Michael Ryan?
Roger Trahan.
Nicole Charamonte.
Mark LePage, all present and accounted for. All right, with that, we'll open up our first public hearing, which is for 1 Paddock Lane. I see Chris Frattaroli raised his hand, so it looks like we've got Chris with us.
And the applicant's here also, Libby Eunice.
Hi there, folks. I think I'm in.
Yep, we got you.
All right, I've got a little presentation here to run through real quick. If you could give me share screen permission.
Should be all set now.
All right,
There you go, you're up.
beautiful. So, Paddock Lane, we all know this so far. We wanted to kind of walk through where we've been and where we've come to with our plans for this proposal. So broadly speaking, we've kind of reverted back to what we were talking about before we had come to you with wetland fill and replication scheme. So we have since made some additional alterations here to shrink things down and shift things around. But in order to walk through where we've come from and where we're at now, I marked up some plan sheets here and I'll just take you through it real quick. So our initial building footprint was a little over 2,000 square feet. The last building footprint you saw was a little under 2,000 square feet. Now we're at 1,560. So we're almost 500 square feet smaller than what we initially came to you with. The building length has been shortened by 8 feet since the last version, 12 feet since the initial. Building width has been shortened by 2 feet. The wall has been brought in by 1.5 feet since the last version and over 5 feet since the initial submittal. Over in this left front-hand corner, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but our limit of work has been shrunk by over 1,800 square feet. And that's actually a little bit of a low ball. It's more like 2,000 square feet up in this front corner here. We also shifted our driveway further away from the wetland. It had been about 20 feet at the closest point from the wetland line. It's now closer to 50 feet from the wetland. Paul, our engineer, had put together this little summary of disturbed areas between the different buffer zones between now and the last, this is our May 20th plan, was what we had kind of decided we would revert back to. So we're about 200 square feet less work in the 0 to 25, about 2,000 square feet less work in the 25 to 50 buffer zone. And then in that outer 50 to 100, because of the way we've shifted things around, we've kind of shifted about 200 square feet from the inner buffer zones towards the outer buffer zones. And again, our building footprint has come down by about 500 square feet since our initial here. Now, these numbers don't take into account our replanting scheme. This is just the red numbers that are shown on the site plan itself are essentially what's inside our limit of work. Now, we're also proposing a pretty substantial replanting scheme here in order to further bring those numbers down. So I guess we'll start with our previous proposal. It was about 9,500 square feet of impact within the buffer zone, about 1,000 square feet of replanting, for about 8,500 square feet of total permanent disturbance. Now, if we look here over on the left side, that overall number has come down about 2,000 square feet on its own. So we have about 7,500 square feet of disturbance for the construction of this project. We're going to be replanting about 2,700 square feet of that. And our total permanent disturbance here, so lawn, driveway, house, etc., is now less than 5,000 square feet in total, and that is 3,750 square feet less than what we were proposing on May 20th with that previous plan version. This comes along with over 100 plantings around this house, native seeded areas, really around that whole perimeter. We've kept it to basically no more than what you need strictly to be able to walk around the building. We are also proposing some lawn removal and replanting around the existing house. Now, this is what it looks like in plan view on the left here. On the right, there's a couple of photos. We selected this spot intentionally because it's a low spot in the driveway. Any stormwater coming off of that driveway, again, single family house, not required to have stormwater management. Any runoff coming off that driveway is shooting down that low spot, basically right into the wetland right there. It's just the way that it's pitched. And, so we've got a little bit of a scrappy lawn there. We're proposing to remove about 1,900 square feet of lawn. Again, seed it with the native seed mix, plant it with native woody vegetation, and improve the buffer zone, not only in terms of habitat value, but in this case, more importantly, in its capacity to be able to kind of slow any runoff coming off of that driveway, and also aid in filtration of any pollutants that might be coming off of that driveway as well. You get about almost 50 plantings over in this on this side of the lot as well. So to sum that all up, with our current proposal, we have about 7,500 square feet of disturbance for the new house construction. 2,700 square feet of replanting. We are at 4,675 square feet of permanent disturbance around the new proposed house. Less than 5,000 square feet here. Then once you incorporate 1,900 square feet of lawn removal and replanting at the existing house, where we are improving existing conditions, your net disturbance between both lots, so what is at the end of the day, when all is said and done, the increase in anything that isn't naturally vegetated is less than 2,800 square feet. So we really feel like we've come a long way here in terms of our square footages. A couple more notes here, and I'll turn it over to the commission. We did inventory trees. This was submitted along with our plans. We have a relatively minor impact of trees here. 15 trees will come down. This is things above about 3 inches in DBH, as I know that's frequently what the commission will ask for. 15 trees, 1 snag, and over 150 plantings to go in to offset that. This is a little diagram to, at a very high level, illustrate kind of the direction of any surface runoff here. We're going to get into this little stormwater conversation right now. Those blue arrows represent generally the direction any surface runoff would travel. Now, the only things that are really generating runoff here are the road and the driveway. So this is to illustrate basically that any runoff has a lot of vegetation to go through before it can even potentially get to a wetland. Another thing to note here is that from the front to the back here, it's nearly a 100-foot run and only about 4 feet in grade change. So you would stand out there and you would say, yeah, this is almost flat. So all this to say is that there is, little to no possibility of any surface runoff from this development making it to the wetlands. We have provided stormwater infiltration for the roof runoff, and we've kind of graded and relocated that driveway such that it has a lot of vegetation to get through over a very flat surface before any of that water could potentially make it to a wetland. Lastly, the stormwater infiltration itself. These calculations were prepared, as you'll see, with, let's see if I can do this. The old house square footage. This calculation hasn't been updated yet, but it actually is a little bit more beneficial. So we can rerun these numbers with our new house square footage to infiltrate a 1-inch rain event over that entire roof area. 130 cubic feet of storage is required. We're providing 180 and change cubic feet of storage. So this one system will handle about a 1.4 inch rain event. This notably does not account for any infiltration that is occurring while the rain's still falling. So in all reality, this probably is capable of handling something more like a 1.5 or 1 3/4 inch rain event. But we're going to call it 1.4 for the purposes of simplicity here. So that, I hope, summarizes kind of where we've been, where we're at now, and if there are any questions, or I believe I heard the applicant in chambers, if Nabi has anything to add, happy to accept that at this point.
I was just gonna mention that placing the retaining wall, as we did, helps a lot with the runoff, because it slows it down very much because of the grading. Like you said, it makes it more flat.
Right, so yeah, we are still talking about a 2-foot retaining wall. It tempers our slopes. It allows us to eliminate some grading around the outside, despite it being the more expensive construction choice here.
And the driveway, I just want to say, it's moved out of the 25 to 50, as somebody mentioned once. It's totally out
Yeah,
of there, maybe
and-
except for a little sliver.
And we're almost entirely outside of the 50 with that at this point.
From the 50 to 100 at this point, for the most part.
So
I'd say
I will-
good
Yeah,
good
I'll go ahead and
presentation.
stop sharing
Yep.
here and we can actually have a conversation, but happy to reshare any of those at any point here if we want.
You know, first off, thanks for putting the presentation together that way, Chris. I think this really lays out where we've come from and answers a lot of the questions that we've been talking about the last few meetings. So I feel this was extremely helpful. You know, in my mind, then we'll let the other commissioners speak. I mean, I think we made a lot of progress. You know, you've taken our input on things like the garage, the deck, the driveway. We heard resident concerns about the size of the house and, you know, greatly reduced it to 1,500 feet, right? 20% reduction in the size of the house. I think, you know, it's helpful to look at, you know, the tree removal. We know it's a wooded lot, 15 trees, and I think it's a pretty effective planning plan. And as we discussed in one of our other previous meetings, you know, making use of that, you know, that spot on the lawn on the property where the existing house is makes a lot of sense. So, you know, I'll just say from my perspective, the rest of the commission, you know, we talk about, you know, avoid, minimize, and mitigate. I think this has really done a good job here, and I think is essentially permittable. But certainly interested in what questions the other commissioners have or comments and thoughts on this. But I think we've made an awful lot of progress.
I agree, Mark. I think, over on the existing property, do you have that, again, what you did over there? You're essentially mitigating
sure
something.
thing. Let's see if we can get there. Is this the one we're looking at?
Yeah, that's the one, Chris.
All right, so
Yep.
the area where you have all the plantings, that's an area that you're going to,
It's 1,900 square feet.
which
Right,
is an
so-
effort to mitigate the damage over here, okay.
Impact, yeah. Yeah, you know, we talked about is, you know, we don't want to be disturbing buffer zone to replicate, right? So this was a way to, you know, we suggested, you know, we talked about this early on, but to revisit. You know, one thing we learned is that, you know, we can condition this even on the other lot in perpetuity. I think that was at least my primary concern about having replication on what's going to be an adjacent lot. But, you know, I mean, my concern on that was solved. So this seems like a good solution. I mean, that looks like an area that could benefit from the replication, and we end up with a better situation there that helps offset some of the impact to the other spot.
Yes.
Yeah, so just to clarify that, I don't know if we could see this planting area will look essentially like this and come up to here on this side. So that whole kind of red highlighted area, these two photos are essentially me standing in the same place, looking forward and behind of me. And that red area corresponds to basically, you know, this hatched area over here.
Okay.
Can you zoom in on that photo? The
Looks
low,
like my
the lower
yard.
right?
My lawn.
They all look like that.
Just to clarify, though, that's not replication, right? That's just planting with native.
Right, so yeah, I would probably call this, you know, buffer zone mitigation rather than
Mitigation.
replication.
Okay.
Mitigation's a better term, Michael. Good catch.
Buffer zone
Yep.
mitigation.
I'm just noticing that there's nice grass on the backyard, and this seems like it's, not growing well.
I spent some money on that to keep it that way, without watering, believe it or not.
Yeah. When you do snow removal, does some of it, do you toss that into that area?
The tenant has a snow blower. Yeah, will be tossed into that area or to the lawn on the other side.
Okay. Usually when you have a lot of, when you mix in, like, you throw salt and then we have another storm and you take it out, with the snow blower. Typically these, like, areas of the lawn don't grow well. So I think something to think about when you're looking at replanting this is to ensure that it's going to be, healthy enough to continue,
I see
to
what
grow.
you're saying. Yeah.
So, and I think that's, how
I
does,
doubt if they're using salt on it.
no,
Just
on the
snow-
driveway,
Not on the driveway.
or, yeah.
The driveway's in good shape, so when you just snow blow it pretty much.
Okay.
Clears it up and the sun hits that and, usually it melts, so.
Hmm.
I lived there for a few years until I moved out a couple of years ago. So. And I used to do it myself, it really wasn't a problem.
Chris, I had a question.
Oh, something to consider, Louis, too. You got me thinking about this. I like your thought process, right? But there's probably a native seed mix that might be able to perform better. That could, it looks a little shady there, right? I got some areas in my backyard, sadly, that look like that, too, that I've been thinking about throwing some other kind of mix instead of grass down. I wonder if we could find a mix that might work better there. John, I saw you raise your hand. Do you have a suggestion on that?
Yeah, Mark, I'd say, one of the benefits from this kind of work, establishing native vegetation, whether it's woody plantings or herbaceous vegetation through seeding, is, these native species can tolerate fairly harsh conditions. I mean, a lot of, things that people, will colloquially just call weeds are, native vegetation that will, grow through pavement half the time. So, I wouldn't use, an area of lawn that doesn't look so great as a potential to be concerned about an area not establishing. At the end of the day, if you get native vegetation growing in an area like this, it's going to come, the perennials will come back year after year, and then the annuals will self-seed themselves. So I think, the species they've chosen are appropriate for the area, and there are seed mixes that are specifically intended for, edge conditions like this that will grow and will establish.
Makes sense. Thanks, John.
Thanks, John.
Chris, I had a question about the soil, like the composition of the soil. You had shown a picture with the runoff, with the arrow pointing to the back of the property.
Oh, yeah, let's see, this one?
Yes. The top.
Yep.
The top, like to the back of the property. What's the
Yep.
the soil type there?
So I believe I believe the whole site is mapped as a Merrimack Fine Sandy Loam. I would have to double check that. It's been a little bit since I've looked at that. But generally, you know, what we found on this site is sandy loams, nothing too remarkable in either direction of either being excessively drained or remarkably poorly drained. It's, you know, pretty run-of-your-mill sandy loams on this site.
And the other thing that kind of works well here, right? You know, one of the other gyrations we had looked at, we were really worried about the runoff from the street, and you've got a lot of buffer there right next to the street, so that's
Yeah.
good. Any other questions, concerns from commissioners?
I guess,
Okay.
when, I guess we'll go to the audience and see if a butter.
Yeah, I was going to say, if nothing
I'm
comes from
good.
the commission, anybody in chambers or on Zoom like to comment? John Dennerman, I see you raised your hand. Good to see you again.
Good evening. I'm just curious on the configuration of the house, and I noticed the garage is not depicted. So my first question is there still a garage, and how is that structured? And my second point is just that we all not lose sight of the fact that the 25-foot buffer zone runs through the house. And I very much think that the tree inventory is very helpful, and thank you. I think that was one of the areas of my concern.
Yeah, I'll let Nabi take the garage question if that's cool with you, Nabi.
Sure. No, the garage, we moved it from the front, obviously, to move the driveway over and get the impervious area away from the wetlands. So the garage opening will be on the right side of the rectangle, in the front, where you see the pavement ending. Honestly, I don't have a house design, so I could wind up with one-car garage, two-car garage, but I'm asking for the 1,560 feet to work within and design it. Whether it's a garage or another room, I don't see how that matters. It's really the footprint is the same. So I would be, we'd go down the pavement and turn left into the garage when there is a garage there. Just a remark regarding the size of the house. It's really in line with pretty much every house over there. I took measurements off the assessor's cards for houses within the subdivision, including John's, some of the other neighbors, my existing house. My existing house with the deck footprint is 1614, this is 1560. One of the other houses, one of the abutters is 1495. They have two decks, the gross area is 3644. It's really like right in there. I'm just an average house at this point, size-wise.
Yes, I've seen the
Yeah.
houses on that street.
John
Fits right
Dearman
in.
is 1343 square feet, 3171 gross square footage. He's got a 16,000 square foot. I'm giving up 5,400 square feet because of zoning, obviously, but I gave most of it to this lot instead of the other lot. You know, it's just average. It's not outrageously. It's not a big house at this point. It's a medium house. Honestly, at the 2,000, I might not have even built something like that, but what I was looking for is a footprint that I could work within, put a deck or put something, but whatever. But I took the deck out, and that's fine. You know, I could work. Some houses have an inside porch, covered porch inside that rectangle. So I'll deal with it that way. But that's the square footage I'm looking for, and I don't feel like it's out of the ordinary, especially for that neighborhood.
John, does that answer your question?
It does, thank you very much, and I agree that the house is in line with neighboring homes. So if the garage, if there's no garage, so the whole square footage is with or without a garage, is that right? So I guess the garage will be part of that rectangle regardless of the configuration.
That's
Correct, yeah,
correct,
we
yes.
frequently refer to this just as like a house box, and it may not necessarily be, you know, exactly this shape, but this is the shape within which we have to work. And the floor plan might not be designed yet, we might not know if it's gonna be a garage or a bedroom or whatever it may be, but, you know, this is the box we have within which to work.
But just to elaborate, if there is a garage, it would be there with the doors facing the pavement. It wouldn't be anywhere else.
John, any other questions you had or comments?
No, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Anybody else online or in chambers? Okay. Go ahead. Does somebody else have a comment? Sound like somebody's going to speak? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm gonna circle back with that comment, the footprint. So and this was kind of where, you know, early on in the project, I was looking to see what the comparable size homes were on that block. And, you know, just pulling up the P card, the assessor's cards for like the 149 Beach Street and you know, what's this other one here? 153. So basically the two houses down, just as a comparison, like, so, you know, not counting just the footprint of the house, not counting the decks, the garage, or anything, you know, I'm looking at 768 for one property and 960 for another one, so, and that's just the two. And, you know, as you go further down that street,
Those
they're, you
houses
know,
are a lot smaller.
they're smaller.
But they're different zoning.
They are, yeah.
They're allowed, one house, I think, is 50-something feet for frontage.
Yeah.
And I don't know, the numbers, I'm just saying, but they're small numbers. Some of the lots are 15,000 square feet, and that's all you could fit on a house with the offsets, right?
Yeah.
But if you go past my house, the next house on the corner, and then you go down to Palomino, they're all in that 1,300 to 1,600
Yeah.
range.
Yeah, so I'm kind of seeing what, if they also have like the restriction when it comes to like wetlands or any of that, like, so these houses don't look like they were,
I don't know if I
part
could
of
show you this,
wetlands.
but John Dieterman's house is on a big wetland.
Yeah.
2/3 of the lot is wetland.
yeah,
And the two houses next to it are on the wetland. And I don't know what size it was when they built the houses, but at this point, these houses are in the 25 and 50-foot buffer. Some people's sheds are in the wetland.
Most of those houses on Beach Street, further on down from you, are all backed up on the wetland.
Yeah, the same wetland
Yeah,
that
same
dumps
wetland,
into
yeah.
my land, but
But
mine
But
curves
I
around.
think about 25 years ago.
yeah, and it seems like maybe the wetlands like further back in their backyard, so it's like we're kind of fighting constraints here too when it comes to this, you know, but also taking a look at, it's like, you know, what do the houses look like as far as like their footprint goes, and, you know, we're also, you know, they're smaller and that's just an observation really.
Well, right next to me, definitely smaller, yes.
Yeah, yeah, the only ones that are larger in size are the ones across the street, which are
If you go across the street,
significantly
they're
bigger.
back to regular size, because the lot size is 40,000 over there.
Yeah,
They built one 3 years ago. It was actually a big lot, kind of like what I have, but they actually took the original house, moved it to the front, and subdivided and sold the back lot to a
oh,
builder.
interesting.
But that house, the footprint's got to be about 1,400, 1,500 square feet also.
So they probably had a lot more, you know,
They have 40,000
property to
Yes.
to
40,000
work
square
with.
feet. My lot's 54,000, and I know there's wetlands, but.
Okay.
This is John Detterman. I just want to make a point that most of the homes in Dover Farms were built in 1996, and the wetlands regulations, particularly the Franklin wetland regulations, were very, very different then. So we're dealing with this property. The proposed building is using today's standards, not 1996 standards.
I don't know what they were in 1996, but, no.
Well, I can assure you that the homes were in compliance in 1996.
Oh, I believe that, John. I'm not saying they
You
weren't.
probably just got a permit.
Yeah, I'm not saying they weren't, I'm sure. You had conditions and they were built and released based on, you know.
I think that the key is we gotta analyze this house relative
Yeah,
to
you're right.
Today's.
the regs we're dealing with today, and
Okay,
that's what we're doing. I mean, it's always good to have the historical perspective, don't get me wrong, but we can go down a pretty deep rabbit hole trying to compare what happened 1996 to today, so,
Yeah.
but I think we've done a good job, working this through the current regs. Any other questions or comments that are there in the audience? Or Louis, I don't know if you were finished with your question there.
No, that was, I think, that was it.
Yeah, I just want to
Okay.
point out real quick.
Sure.
That, the house still is, speaking of the regs, it's still within the 50-foot no build, completely. And a third to a quarter of it's in the 25-foot no touch. So I do commend the team for doing just about everything you can. It's a really great improvement, but it's still not meeting the bylaw.
But we have,
Again, though, keep in mind, right, the guidance is avoid, minimize, mitigate. I mean, and I only stated this because, John Detterman had brought it up, so I researched this a bit, right? It's, the question was, hey, it's black and white, right? Why do we not just say no build in the 25-foot and boom, that's it, right? Almost kind of makes sense on the surface, right? It's a fair question, right? It got me thinking. But, that's why we have Conservation Commission, right? If there wasn't going to be consideration, deliberation, right, intelligent questions about this, there'd just be some clerk in the town hall who would go to, the 0 to 25 foot and say no, and that would be it, right? The state's designed to not have it work that way. That's why we have, today it's 6, soon to be 7 people that deliberate on this. That's why, DEP looks at this, so that there are mitigating circumstances. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't take the regulations and bylaws at face value, right? That's a decision each commissioner gets to and should make. But it isn't necessarily black and white to the conversation we had the other day. And John, I see you got your hand up. I don't know if you want to comment along those lines.
Yeah, I do just want to note, as a unbiased, third party looking at these projects for the commission, we review these often in our peer reviews, and I would just note, and again, this is all ultimately up to the commission and their discretion, but I would be remiss to have discussion about the requirements of the bylaw and its regulations without acknowledging the fact that there is an entire section within the local regulations for a variance procedure, and that's what the applicant is looking for at this point. So I think the commission really is just tasked with, I think everyone understands that this project does not meet some of the local requirements, to the fullest extent, and it's up to the commission to determine if a variance from those is appropriate. Thank you.
I think that one of the first
Good point.
sentences in the regulations, it states, as the commission shall decide, given the guidance that but as you said, Mark, we have latitude on what we decide based on the rules and regulations that were given. So it's not just a black and white thing.
I think, and John makes a good point about the variance, and you're right, Richard, and I think, something that I'll throw on the record here, right, and this is in the guide laws, or the guidelines and bylaws, relative to variances. The commission may grant a variance from these regulations when it is necessary to avoid so restricting the use of the property as to constitute an unconstitutional taking without compensation. If the commission receives an application for variance pursuant to an applicable subsection of regulation, the commission may request an opinion from the town council. So then it gets into some legalese, and I can continue, but, I think this is a great conversation to have, that this particular topic is brought up, right? It's a challenging property. We all worked quite a bit of time on this, and that's part of the process too, is to make sure that we give all applicants, as much diligence as we can and opportunity to put something together. My assessment, and I've learned a lot going through this, and John Detterman's helped us with this. I'll give you credit, John. We love resident involvement because it gets us thinking differently. I say that a lot, but it really comes down to the crux of variance, whether we can grant variances, how we view this particular project and its progress, and whether this is permittable. And you got to keep in mind, we have a lot of control, a good amount of influence, but we do answer to some higher authorities here in the state, and we've always got to keep that in mind. Our goal is to help applicants, optimize projects to best protect wetlands. I think we've done a very, very good job here. It's not perfect, but I think we've accomplished that goal. So just some different thoughts, and it's a great conversation to have. Michael, you look like you had something you were going to throw in, or was it just in your comments?
No, that was my
Okay,
comment.
okay.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
I would like to say this, that obviously I think from even looking at records, I was pretty much against this from the start. But Chris and the applicant, I think you've done all you can to, get it into the best situation for the town and for yourself. The only thing I would maybe ask, if we could add it in there, would there be any kind of markers out in the yard? Basically, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5, just showing where the boundaries are as of today, so that down the road, we'd never go past those. I've seen
Yeah,
those
I mean,
on some
You mean
builds.
the
and-
5 areas that we
You mean
have
out in the
things
field?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll defer to Nabi on that, but I think that's probably a pretty easy thing that I'm sure we could provide some,
Try some stakes in with
maybe
some
Well,
some,
cement-
something to
cement.
demarcate.
something
A little
permanent.
more
How about,
permanent.
how about like a cobblestone edging sticking up a little bit, something like that?
Yeah, I mean,
Is that
yeah.
what you mean?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. You said something colored.
I've seen them on property where, actually, I think it's a surveyor's mark, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's a granite,
Yeah,
yeah, we used to, when building a road, you put a
Yeah,
piece
yeah.
of granite
With a
in the
little
ground
drill hole in the
and then
middle.
a hole in it and take a survey on it.
Right.
Oh, like that,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a benchmark? not-
yeah, benchmark.
There you go,
Okay,
benchmark,
all right.
benchmarker.
Yeah, no, I could do that, that's not a
All right,
problem.
thank you.
I just, I thought you meant the whole perimeter.
No, no.
needed to
No,
be
no.
outlined. Yeah, we could do that.
I think
Just tell me,
establish the corners there and
Yeah,
that'd be cool.
yeah, thank you.
It'd be permanent.
Correct.
right, the corners of, like one would be at the retaining wall?
Basically, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you really
Sure.
wouldn't need one out at the
I
street.
understand what you mean,
Yeah.
okay. So 2 near the
a
entrance,
good idea.
1 in the corners.
Yeah,
Okay. No, we could accommodate that.
yeah, thank you.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank
Thank you. I appreciate it. Chris,
So, yeah, and
Just
we could,
remember
I'm just
that.
making a note, we could condition that too. Roger, okay. Good comment,
Wouldn't be hard to do.
yeah.
Yeah, we do it in a variety of different ways. It could either be something like, some landscape boulders, or like you said, a granite bound with a little plaque on it, low split rail fence, there's a variety of ways to do that. So I think that it's pretty easy and pretty effective.
I like granite.
I could put a granite 4x4 sticking up a little bit.
Well, yeah, I mean, it could even be
Something.
flat, but, I mean, you can go over it, you know,
Yeah, okay.
keep it flat. I'm not looking for anything obtrusive.
I like things like that too, so.
I just have one more question about the planting. How can we guarantee that it's going to be maintained and that the mitigation areas would be?
I think Chris put somewhere that it'd be monitored for 2 years.
Oh, that's what, okay.
Yeah, so there's a narrative portion that accompanies the planting plan, with some stipulations for how to plant things and so on. And in there is, if not 2, I think it's actually 3 years of monitoring, to ensure survival.
Thank you.
And during the plantings, you're there, or somebody's there from your company telling.
Right, yeah, so
telling
we
where to
would
put them.
supervise all that, make sure things go in according to plan. If there's changes that need to be made, they're made appropriately, those types of things.
All right, so what I'd suggest, I mean, I think very productive conversation tonight. I think we're at an end point. I'm going to write up conditions for us, and I'd suggest we go to a formal vote next meeting. I mean, I think this looks good, but we'll let everybody cast their vote and hopefully figure this thing out. So I'll write up the conditions. We'll bring those to the next meeting and put it to a vote. Chris, if that's acceptable.
Yeah, I think, I would just ask of the commission that if there's anything else that we can give you or consider at this point to help push this thing over the finish line, we're all ears and we would love to hear that at this point. But, if we've exhausted all of those comments, then I think you're on the right track, Chair LePage.
Yeah, and you guys have been super responsive. This presentation's an example of that. Yeah, so if any of the commissioners do have a question, that comes up, let's get it out there so we can get a response. Make sure we've got all the information that we're looking for. But I think this is good. Okay.
Are those conditions available in advance of the meeting? I know they're.
Tyler, I don't think procedurally we do that. We typically will always read them off at the meeting, John.
Yeah, that's good.
But I don't know that we put them I don't think we post them ahead of time. But
I've even asked on behalf of the applicant, and I don't think you folks typically share that.
I can't think of a process where we do that. So it's really an internal thing. Yep, okay.
All right.
Okay, well, with that, Richard, do you want to give us a motion to continue the NOI for 1 Paddock Lane to September 4th at 7:01?
It's 7:01. I'll push it. I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 111 Paddock Lane to 1 Paddock Lane to September 4th at 7:01 p.m.
Second.
Vote to continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue?
Continue.
Continue?
To continue. We'll see you guys on the 4th and wrap this thing up. Thanks, guys.
Great,
Thanks, folks.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You too. All right, next public hearing we've got is the NOI for 100-102 Panther Way. I think we've got some potentially new information on that. Got anybody on hand for
Yes, good evening.
101?
Rick Goodrow with United Consultants here this evening with Brad Chaffee, the applicant for the project. We have filed revised plan sets, pretty extensive revisions to address both the Conservation Commission's comments as well as the Planning Board comments. So we anticipate that review of those plans being completed by Bader and others. But what we wanted to do tonight was kind of just walk through the 4 comments that we had received in advance of the last meeting and administrative type comment we had received from one of the commission members at the meeting. So if I may, read through the comments, and basically you can walk through how we address those. And then if the commission has any comments, we'd be happy to have a conversation with them regarding that. So the first comment that we had gotten was that significant grading is proposed within the buffer zone that appears to be in the area that is currently vegetated and has existing ledge. The applicant should confirm that blasting/hammering is required for removal of the ledge and provide information on how resource areas will be protected during the removal. So we have provided some ledge removal requirements. We are planning on looking at the options of hammering some of the ledge areas, but I would anticipate that most of the site will in fact be blasted. So what we had done was outline five items, which identify that the ledge removal will occur on site and shall be either by hammering or blasting. The erosion control measures, compost socks, will be installed prior to any hammering, drilling, or blasting within the buffer zone. During hammering, drilling, and/or blasting, the contractor shall have water applied to the work area. Dust control shall be by water applied with a hose. If necessary, the applicant could engage a dust boss machine to supply more of a constant flow of water, a mist-type flow of water. That's an option that we've had success with previously. All hammered and/or blasted rock will be removed from the site, and if any hammered or blasted rock is found outside of the limit of work area, basically closer to the wetlands, if a projectile occurred, something to that effect, if they were small enough, they would be immediately removed by hand or, if necessary, by a machine. So that's the protocol that we came up with to address the first comment. I can walk through all four of them, or if the commission would prefer to go one by one, we can do that, whatever your preference, Mr. Chair.
Why don't you go through all of them, Rick?
Okay.
I mean, that was good. Thanks for the recap on that. That's
Okay.
helpful.
Secondly, the pedestrian path will be constructed of a compacted sub-base and a 5-inch layer of gravel topped with a 2 inches of loam and seeded. How frequently will maintenance occur on the path? The applicant should consider a barrier or signage to prevent maintenance from occurring outside of the path. So we have also provided protocol and some notes for the path area, and that is indicated by notes on sheet number 4 of the plan set, and they state that the pedestrian trail vegetation maintenance title, within the wetland buffer zone, the pedestrian path will be mowed when the turf lawn is mowed on the site or as necessary. So basically, the applicant will be engaging a landscape professional to provide mowing services for the site. We anticipate that the grass path that we're creating would be mowed at the same frequency as the site itself. And if necessary, more frequently or less frequently. We would anticipate that they would evaluate that as they were completing the mowing operations. And then we went into a little detail on maintaining the passability of the pedestrian path. Vegetation trimming shall be allowed. Trimming shall be limited to the minimum necessary to keep the pedestrian trail passable. You know, we are in a wooded area. We anticipate some creep of some of the vegetation, so we would just like to have the ability to minimally maintain that in perpetuity to make sure that the path remains passable for the pedestrians that are using it. And additionally, we have proposed 5 signs to be installed, and those signs would be at about approximately 50-foot interval spacing. And those signs would be labeled pedestrian trail maintenance shall be limited to the existing pedestrian trail area. So I think that would address comment number 2. The third comment was that provide the species mix for the proposed seed mix on the plans. And the seed mix has been added to page 11 for the Pennington Northeast seed mix and the New England Conservation/Wildlife mix that we've proposed for the 2 different areas of the site. So those have been added to the plan. And then the last comment was to revise the construction sequence to include the construction of the pedestrian path. So we've added that in as item number 8 on page 13 of the plan set, sheet 13 of the plan set. So those are the 4 items that we had received And then Louis had pointed out that there was a difficulty of reading one of the notes, that there was an overlap of one of the notes. And it was, and we appreciate that, so we've cleaned that administrative item up as well. Thank you. So that's a summary of the changes that have been made from the comments we have received from the Conservation Commission. As I mentioned, we've made about 50 or so revisions for the planning board. You have those as well, and we just wanted to come in and discuss the main items of concern that the Conservation Commission had and see if there were any comments, any additional information that could be made available. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you addressing all those comments. That's helpful. I knew the new plans, the information, I think came in maybe late yesterday. And I haven't had a chance to take a look at it. I was just curious, did the new plans have any changes to the path itself? I mean, that's really our jurisdiction in this deal. I just wondered if any of the changes had been, would have impacted the path.
Yeah, so actually, one of the things that the planning board had asked us to do was an inventory of trees on the site. Not necessarily map them, but inventory them. So as part of that, we actually went out and did an inventory of the trees within the buffer zone that exceeded what the commission typically requests, which is 3 inches. And in so doing that, we were able to make some slight adjustments to the path to preserve those trees. So if you have an opportunity to look at the path, you'll see a few areas where we've kind of zigzagged around some of the trees to maintain them and not have to remove some of the trees. Which the note that we talked about earlier being overlapped indicated that that was our intention, but since the planning board requested the tree inventory, we took advantage of duplicating that effort, making the adjustments within the buffer zone.
Okay, well, that makes sense. Thank you. That was the only question I had. I mean, the information was helpful. Anything else from any of the other commissioners?
No, I think that was good. Thanks for, taking
Yeah,
doing
sound good to
that.
me.
Looks like a lot of the comments were addressed, and as you were talking, I was like, I wonder if they touched upon this, and it's like signage, you got that covered. Definitely when this, and then especially like, conserving, basically having a path where it minimizes like tree cutting or any of that. So it's good. It's good for, for nature. And I guess, I guess really just for people's awareness, like when they do blasting, they'll put blasting mats. So like
Yes.
basically that contains the actual, anything that comes up. So I think that's really, how I think that what I've seen so far in industry
Correct.
practice. So
But when you have some hammering and some drilling, there can be some dust.
It can be
airborne
something
dust.
that comes up.
So that's more what we focused on, but you're 100% right. The blasting mats in general will keep the rock from being dislodged. But
least-
occasionally, a small rock will
dust
come out, and
picks
if
up
it
or
does,
something.
if it lands in the buffer zone, we'll get it out of there.
Yeah, appreciate it, yeah.
Yeah.
I've seen the stuff, I've seen them down at Tri-County, so well worth what they're doing.
I was stuck on 495 when they were blasting over near the Rentham Mall, and they
Oh, yeah, rental,
shot it
yeah.
out into the middle of 495, and they shut it down.
Yeah, that was,
So unfortunately, things do happen.
things happen, yeah.
Yeah.
But, we'll try our best here.
Yeah, that was a face blast.
That's,
You know,
that was
This is
Yeah,
a
you're-
ground blast, so it's easier to control with the mats.
Yep, for sure. No, thanks. I don't really have any comments on my end.
Thank you.
Those are the 4 things we were looking at.
I'm good.
All right, anybody in chambers or online from a public standpoint? All right, so, John, are you guys going to review the new plans?
Based on what was discussed tonight, I mean, it sounds like all of our comments were addressed, so we're good with it if that's what you guys are hearing.
That's kind of what I was thinking, so I think similarly, I'll work on, I'll take a look at all the new material, right? I think, we all should, but take a shot at writing up conditions. And hey, if we see anything over the next 2 weeks, as we review the plans, we can talk about it, at our next meeting, but potentially have conditions ready and go to a vote on this. I guess, Rick, and Brad, do you guys anticipate any further changes with ZBA? I mean, I don't want to close this out if you feel that we need to leave it open because there's more changes coming. So I mean, no guarantee that we're going to close it out next meeting, but I'd like to take a shot at it. But is that the best move for you guys?
Yeah, I think so. I think, separating out the jurisdictional area from the wetlands perspective and the rest of the site,
Right.
predominantly the comments have to do with traffic, parking spaces, building locations, things that are outside of jurisdiction. There really hasn't been much of any comments from the planning board with regard to the trail system. Some early on that we've resolved, but, connectivity points that they were looking for, things of that nature. So I think we're in pretty good shape as far as that goes.
Okay, I would agree, but just want to make sure, right? I
Yep.
mean, we
Appreciate
had
that.
a small change to the path here this time. I don't want to close it out and have to reopen. But if you feel good about it, we'll write up conditions. And we'll,
Yeah, literally, it was a shifting of the path, 5 feet to go around a tree.
No, that's great. We're
Yeah,
good with it, right?
which-
Just don't want to
Correct.
close something out and you guys have to adjust the plans, that's all. All right, so that makes sense to you guys. That's what we'll take a shot at. Appreciate you answering the information. And what we'll do is, I think, Louis, you were next in line. Can you give us a motion to continue the NOI for 102 Panther Way to September 4th at 7:02?
Yep.
September 4th, 7:02.
7:02. I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 102 Panther Way for September 4th at 7:02 PM.
Second. Vote to continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue?
Continue.
Continue?
Continue. Hey,
Thank
Rick
you.
and Brad, thanks,
Thank you.
guys.
Thank you.
Good progress
Thank you.
tonight.
Appreciate it.
Look forward to seeing you on the 4th.
We should be able to get rid of it.
All right.
We so enjoy coming to see you, we filed another project. Which we'll be seeing you in about 4 more projects.
Right.
Yeah.
Just keep coming back.
We'll be here.
All right, our next public
Yeah.
hearing is the NOI for 444 East Central Street.
Thankfully, or what, I don't know.
Chris?
It's me, and I think in the audience, we have Carlton Quinn and AJ Alvizos.
Excellent.
All right, looks like they made it in. So again, for the record, Chris Frattaroli, I'm a wetland scientist with Goddard Consulting, joined by the applicant, AJ Alvizos from Tag Central LLC, and our civil engineer, Carlton Quinn from Allen Major Associates.
Thank you.
We have, nothing major since the last time we spoke, but wanted to give you a quick update on a couple of topics. About, 4 hours ago now, we received a new beta letter, so we're going to be working through that over the next several days and, a week or so. We understand that FEMA, as of just a couple of weeks ago, did release new maps for depicting flood zones over, good portions of the entire state. So we do now have reason to believe that BLSF exists further north in the site than we might have previously anticipated. So in order to hopefully discern some answers on that, we've engaged another engineering firm with expertise in this field. This is Beals Associates. And we're going to be submitting to the commission a hydraulic study to determine an elevation to BLSF throughout the entire northern portion of the site. We're hoping to have that submitted to you within the next week or so. Moving on, because there was a whole bunch of questions 2 weeks ago regarding our stormwater system, drainage, flooding, these types of things, we did put together a quick little summary memo that Carlton, our engineer, wrote to basically summarize what we're doing with our stormwater system, how it impacts drainage, flooding, and these other concerns. So the numbers are in flux a little bit as we anticipate that we'll continue to be making revisions here. But if we kind of don't pay all that much attention to the specific numbers for now, it gives you a pretty good overview, sort of in layman's terms, of basically the standards that we're held to and broadly what we're going to be accomplishing here. So again, as requested, we have Carlton, our civil engineer, online with us tonight. He has, I think, a little bit more to add to some of that, but once he's been able to flesh that out a little bit, we're happy to answer any other questions that there may be, again, with the caveat that specifics are still in flux a little bit. So I'd pitch it to Carlton now.
Good evening. My name is Carlton, as you mentioned, civil engineer. I was wondering if I'd be able to share my screen.
Wish we had a bigger screen.
Back. Are you guys able to see my screen with the plan up on it?
Yep, you're up.
Okay. Well, here, just going to run through a couple of points quickly on the little memo I gave you, and it's strictly high level, just to give you an idea of what the stormwater mitigation measures are that we will be providing, and just how they, mitigate the stormwater impacts of our proposed development. The current plan in front of you today, this is the existing conditions plan, and I just wanted to go through kind of the water quality improvements we do on the site. Currently, this site has parking and paved areas. It's kind of a landscape yard, and these areas, pavement just currently runs straight into the wetlands and the stream that are on site. In some locations, there are some small drains that pipe it directly into the stream. And just to show you the improvements we'll be making for water quality, I just went through kind of one iteration of a catch basin on site. And all impervious areas on our site are caught in a catch basin unless it's a roof. A roof is kind of considered clean water, so that's piped separately into the infiltration system. But all impervious surfaces on the ground, other than the roofs of the systems, are caught within a catch basin. And the catch basin is part of a treatment train to help reduce all the pollutants, hydrocarbons, oils, salts, sands that are located in these impervious areas. So this catch basin here, as in all the other catch basins on the site, will have a 4-foot sump to help catch all the sediment on site. It'll also have a hood that kind of acts as a baffle, so any floatables will not be able to get discharged through the pipe. It'll have to go under the hood and out through the pipe. So that is the first stage of the treatment train. It then continues down here to what we call a water quality unit, or a proprietary sediment removal device. This is kind of a much larger system with a much bigger sump at the bottom. It's got a series of baffles and swirl chambers. There's several on the market. They're typically designed to treat 80 to 90% of the TSS removal on the site. We generally only take credit for 50% of that. So at this point, it's already gone through 2 phases of treatment before it gets to the infiltration system. This type of infiltration. Go ahead.
Question. So,
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt, but just kind of germane to the TSS removal. So a question that came up from a resident, and I think it got to the point of pre-treatment and final versus final TSS removal rate. Can you, just while we're on this, can you talk a little bit about the difference in those process and the percentages and how they work?
Certainly. So pre-treatment is generally something I would consider before the main treatment of this, which would be the infiltration system here, the underground infiltration system. And since this project is considered land usage with higher pollutant loads, and this one in particular is tripped because it has over 1,000 trips per day. It's not much over 1,000 trips per day, but since it handles over 1,000 vehicles a day, it trips a higher treatment. So it's required to have 44% TSS removal before it gets into the infiltration system. And with these 2 devices, the catch basin and the water quality unit, it does meet the 44%, which is the higher treatment requirement because of the land usage with higher pollutant loads. So you can't just take a catch basin and run it into the infiltration system. In this situation, it has to be pre-treated to 44%. You only get 25 for the catch basin, so you need a secondary treatment for the water quality unit. Does that
And that's pretreatment as compared to the final outcome.
The final treatment, yeah. So generally, you'd have a catch basin, water quality unit, and you can run it to in an infiltration system like this, and you would get the 80% TSS removal total. In this case, we have a third system called an isolator row in here, which takes off another 66% of the TSS removal. So we have more than what's generally required for the standard type of system. And I was just going to run through that. This system here, it actually runs into this one chamber. Then this whole chamber is completely surrounded by filter fabric, and then it's required to run through the filter fabric before it gets to the other parts of the infiltration system. And you can see we have two big pipes here on either side to help clean this out. So this system would go above and beyond a standard underground infiltration system where you get 80%, as it has this third treatment piece of the isolator row.
Okay, thank you.
And then this system is designed, and we're required to catch 1 inch of water from all the impervious areas on the site. And generally that first 1 inch is required because it's called the first flush. So if you have a period of dry spells and then you have a rainfall event, obviously most of that dirt and sediment and oil is going to come off in the first beginning of that storm. They call it the first flush. So any storm within that 1 inch is captured on site and nothing is discharged from our systems. And then obviously if you have a 100-year storm, all that's caught at the beginning, and then at the end of the storm, the site is assumed to be already kind of clean by then. So these systems are very good for treating the water quality that's coming off the site. Again, we won't even be discharging a drop for the first inch of water. So any storms less than 1 inch, we won't be discharging anything.
What does the maintenance look like for these, Carlton? I mean, you got a lot of material being removed. How does that work?
Yeah, so these systems don't work well if they're not maintained. Generally, you would do it at least twice a year, after the winter, after the snow in the spring, and then after the fall when the leaves fall is when you probably get the most of it. I believe the standard for this is generally 4 times a year you'd want to go in and inspect them. And there's numbers to say, if there's half full, then you need to clean them out. But generally you want to clean them out twice a year. So you'd come in here with a vac truck, suck up all the sediment and any oils that are on here. Same with the water quality unit. For the isolator row, you'd pop off this manhole and go in here and spray it out with kind of a jet vac and get all the dirt out of this system. So that's the standard maintenance for something like this.
One other, I know I'm throwing a main question, but this is super helpful going through it this way, by the way, so I appreciate putting this together. You mentioned snow removal, and that was another concern that came up. Do you guys have a plan around that? I don't recall. Someday we could talk about it now, particularly relative to potentially, salting, things of that nature. I don't know if you can talk to that as part of this.
Let me see. We do have a snow removal plans located on the sheet C105 and 105A here. I did not prepare anything for those, but let me see if I can find them.
Okay, I know I'm throwing it.
Okay, so in this snow removal plan, these hatched areas with the lines,
Yeah.
these are areas we would assume need snow removal, so you won't see any snow removal on top of the house. You'll see it in the driveways, the sidewalks, the parking lot, but nothing on like the garage roof. So we've determined the area of square footage for pavement, sidewalks, snow removal areas, in other words. And these cross-hatched areas is where we would expect to store the snow storage across the site, kind of in the landscape areas.
Any thoughts on salting relative to that? Is that something you?
There is an operation maintenance plan on salting. I don't believe there's any restrictions on salting in this area. And there is a certain type of snow removal or icing agent you can use that's kind of has less impact on these areas than others, but I'd have to go through the operational maintenance plan and pull that up. I don't know the name of that off the top of my head.
Okay, all right, I know I kind of took us off path, but we got, you mentioned snow removal on the property, so thank you. I didn't mean to derail the whole presentation, but it tied in, so.
Yeah, if that is a question, I can prepare something for the next meeting.
All right.
And while we're on the topic, I will also note, we moved all of our snow storage areas outside, at the very least, outside of the 100-foot buffer zone to the wetlands surrounding the stream in the southern portion of the site.
Okay, oh, all right, good.
Okay.
All right,
I
Thanks,
was
Carl.
just gonna go on and go on to kind of the design of the system, the infiltration and groundwater recharge. So this is the watershed map for the area we studied. The area in red is our property. The area in blue is off-site areas that have water that come onto our property. We provided 3 study points, kind of in line with the 3, this plan might be a little bit hard to read, but they're generally in line with the 3, these 3 stream areas. So you have a culvert here that comes under a crossing, a culvert here that comes under a crossing, and then our third point is at the end of the line here. So you're gonna see 1, 2, 3 study points, because these are kind of the choke points of the design, and this is obviously the discharge of the whole site, so that's where we put our study points. So these green dots indicate the study points. All these little black lines in here are sub-catchment areas that go to this catch basin and that catch basin and flow into each and every drainage pipe we have. And that's all modeled in a HydroCAD model. So we have an existing and a proposed study. And you can see here, I've put the peak rates here for each of them. And we're required to reduce or match or reduce all the peak flows for all those study points, or we'd have to prove that we're not, flooding the system out. So we have to make sure that we're not making anything worse. We're holding the same flows or reducing them in all these, with our stormwater model. So for instance, in this area where we have kind of some flooding concerns, we also reduced the volume of water coming off our site by infiltrating enough to reduce it. So if we go back to the drainage plan, you're gonna see we've got, these little chambers all over the place catching water and pushing it into the ground. So in our drainage report, we put a summary together for all these study points. So this is study point 1 of the volume for the 2, the 10, and the 100-year storm. And you can see we're providing a reduction of volume from our site in those off-site flows in the blue of this much across the storms. You're going to see, in the 2-year storm, it's much higher because we're capturing the 1-inch storm completely and not letting anything out. And then as you get bigger and bigger storms, obviously there's less and less capacity. So, we're still reducing the volume at each one of these study points significantly and off the site completely by 37%. So we're discharging more into that kind of Uncas Brook area. We're discharging less in the 100-year storm than we are in the existing storm currently. So that's kind of what we're showing here. And that's kind of how we're trying to frame our design, that we're not going to flood anyone else downstream, is that we're going to hit these points with our design. Obviously, after Beta's review, confirming all these assumptions and design modifications we've made.
And so this is based on, generally, and again, Beta will validate this too, but generally accepted calculations for those infiltration basins, right? Like you said, we're catching water there, and that's going to push it back into the ground as opposed to essentially potentially letting it flow out at study point 3, the outflow of the entire site, right? That's so there's accepted calculations for those basins that allows you to make these calculations. That's kind of how it works, right?
Correct. And there's 330 pages here. There's probably 10,000 calculations in this report. Right. And we take we take rainfall data that's determined by the NOAA. It's a standard practice. We have surface material. So if it's pavement, obviously it doesn't infiltrate water as well as a woods does. That's all taken into consideration. The underlying soils, how permeable is taken into consideration, and that's all put into, a big design and run through, models, and it spits out what your expected rainfall is for the design storms. So it's done, I'll just quickly look at these are the design, this is the modeling in here, so we'll just take one point here. This is subcatchment E4. It's what is it? It's 100, this is the area, so it's 1,800 square feet of grass cover, good, with a good soil. It's 4,900 square feet of paved area. It's 104,000 square feet of woods. And, it's all designed into this, and it takes in how big the subcatchment area, so the T sub C is here, and it kind of comes up with how much flow comes off it. So it's 0.25 during the 2-year storm. So all this information is plugged into here. And it's just standard design practice. And generally, everybody in this type of business uses the same software called HydroCAD.
That's helpful, thank you.
So that was just noting that we are mitigating the volume of water coming off our site. Page was that? And this is just illustrating that we do the same thing for the flows to show that we're not inundating an existing culvert or proposing more erosion to the wetlands. So these are the flows. So that's the volume per time. So the other one was just the total volume. This is the volume of time that, peaks during the peak of the storm and then kind of comes down at the end. Whereas the volume is kind of the total amount of water for the whole storm. You can see we have got reductions at each one of these points for these 3 study points also. And this is summarized in the drainage report, and obviously Beta's peer reviewing this to prove that these numbers are per standard practice and meet the DEP requirements. I think the last point we wanted to note was the floodplain. And this is a little bit in flux since some of the information we got previously. Or we'll call this bordering land subject to flooding. So this green line is the existing wetland line. The red line here is the bordering land subject to flooding line. So this is what it was in the existing conditions when we prepared this in June. And we've got it kind of calculated on a foot-by-foot basis here. So between elevation 268 and 269, there's 640 cubic feet. On the next foot, it's 5,100 square feet. From 270 to 271, it's 24,000 square feet of borderland subject to flooding on the existing site. And we actually have it broken down, so this red area is, this is the 269 contour, this is the area of the 270, and the 271, the extent of the BLSF on the site. So a total existing floodplain of 24,000. So I'm just going to flip here to the proposed with the site on it. We've increased the floodplain as we're required to do for the BLSF for each elevation between each foot. So the existing went from 640 at 268 to 269 to 2,900. We went from 5,000 to 10,000 in the next foot, and then the next one went from 18 to 23,000. So we've actually increased the total mitigation of flooding on our site from 24,000 to 36,000 based on the grading we did. And the biggest area is this wetland replication over here is where we're getting the most of this volume for, the proposed conditions. So as you saw it in the existing conditions, there was just a sliver all the way up, and we've kind of jetted this out to make a big pocket of floodplain mitigation over here for the site.
Okay.
And so, these are the things we're doing to, mitigate any concerns of flooding downstream of us. And I also have in the exhibit on my thing that we're also going to meet the 10 stormwater requirements. I just listed them as an exhibit. I'm not going to go through them all. But these are all things that Beta's going to go through and check that we are actually doing what we're saying doing.
I got to say, I found this exceptionally helpful and useful. I know we asked you guys to put a little extra work in this to explain it to us, and this helped me a great deal. So thank you for assembling it and coming in tonight to present it.
No problem, thank you.
Yeah. Questions, comments from the other commissioners?
Has this beta response to this, 8/21/25, gotten to the engineer?
Yeah, so I got it not more than 4 hours ago,
Yeah.
so we haven't had any chance to review those comments.
Yeah, it just came in.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
Hi Carlton. So you mentioned, so given the new update to the FEMA flood maps, now considering this is Zone A, does that change any of your calculations or what you've done previously?
It will change the calculations. So we're currently coordinating with Beals, and they're doing kind of a flood model for us to review those areas north of here. So we'll obviously have to do the exact same thing I'm doing here on the northern portion. So if we're filling any areas up there, I'm going to need to mitigate it with additional volume up there, kind of in the same thing. So we're not going to be able to, in most likelihood, we're going to make it bigger in each area above here, as, you know, we would be required to do.
Okay. So what's presented right now is what was basically just for information, just currently with the.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't have time to go through and redo everything for this. It's going to take some time. It wasn't something, you know, they don't update FEMA maps very often, so it was not something we expected. So we're going through that process now, and this was just kind of a high level to show you what we're doing to mitigate it, and we'll be doing the exact same thing in those areas also.
No, I appreciate the explanation. I think a lot of the comments, general comments were, how's this designed, and really just it's just how you explained it is gives us better clarity of what the design is and what it really does as far as like trapping stormwater and I think one of the things I had was the just this site being close to a stream, it almost seems like your water tables would be a little bit higher than say if you're like further out. Is that something that you look into your models like?
Yeah. So we went out here and we did. I don't know if it's on. Just double check.
Carlton, are you looking for the test pit exhibit by chance?
Yeah, is that not in the plan set?
It's in the plans.
Okay.
It's in the plan.
So test pits were, that you have that from the test pits then?
Oh yes, here it is. Test pit exhibit. Sorry.
Okay.
It's 27 on the PDF, Carlton.
So all these little dots and descriptions here are all part of a test pit plan we did, where we either dug holes and a soil evaluator, determined where the estimated seasonal high groundwater was, or some of these are related to borings to help just basically determine what type of soil's under there, whether it's a sand, a sandy loam, a loamy sand, that all kind of goes into the design. But yes, we did do an extensive test pit plan for groundwater.
Okay. No, I have no further questions. I don't
have any questions.
This thing, basically the information subject is going to be subject to change too, so we'll have to, just talk about it more when that comes.
I had a couple of questions. So,
Hi, Nicole.
on the plans, somebody did mention about groundwater well. Could you show me on the plans where the groundwater, the drinking water for number 9 would be?
The drinking water well?
I don't.
There's no-
It says zone 2 groundwater and well number 9.
Yeah, so there's a groundwater well.
Carlton, I think just clarify what we did, the well that we did on site. We did 2 of them to monitor the water elevation.
Yeah, sorry, I think I have a mistake. So we did a boring number 9 that has a monitoring well in it. So it's basically just a pipe that goes down so that anybody can go by and check the depth to the groundwater at any stage. It's just a monitoring well. It's not a drinking well. We're going to be served from the main and the street for any sort of drinking water.
A resident had mentioned that there was a drinking, I don't know.
Well number 9.
Excuse me?
Well number 9 sits at the back of the property, within 400 feet.
I think they may be talking about a municipal well that's located in the vicinity of this, not on the property.
Yep.
I can probably pull it up on GIS if you want to give me a minute.
Yeah, I got it in 2 seconds,
Okay.
Carlton, if you want to unshare. Let's see, I gotta do this. So this is a well down here in the bottom, towards the bottom left of our site. There is a town well down here off site.
Okay, and then where did you plan on storing snow removal?
Yeah. Did you have that handy, Carlton?
Yeah, it was the plan I had pulled up earlier showing the snow removal on site. I think it was- This plan? Oh, I'm not sharing it. How about now? This plan.
Comes up. Yeah, there you go. Yep.
So the snow removal will be where the drinking well would be?
Well, we're not in the area of a drinking well. We're in what's called a Zone 2. And the Zone 2 is jurisdictional to the Mass DEP. It just sets you to a higher stormwater treatment requirement. And we're meeting all the Zone 2 requirements per the Mass DEP stormwater guidelines. And that's something that Beta would also review. Being in the Zone 2 does not prohibit you from developing or storing snow on a property.
Okay, but what is the proximity to, I'm sorry, it's so far away, I cannot see.
I mean, the well itself has to, there is a certain Zone 1, it has to be within that property. If you look at the property limits that Chris shows for the property, that radius has to be controlled by the well owner, which it is. Outside of that, it's developable land that's generally a Zone 2 up until a certain distance away, and then it would turn into a Zone 3, I think. In some
Yeah, so-
studies.
So just to clarify that, Carlton, if you go down one plan sheet, or I got it.
Yeah, so you won't be able to do anything in that circle, that immediate circle, but
So this is the Zone 1, obviously. The Zone 1 is that circle itself. That's a wellhead protection area. And there's a Zone 2 beyond that, which our site is in the Zone 2. It's a little tough to see that pink hatching. But we're in the Zone 2. It is also a wellhead protection area, but with a different set of restrictions. So from the actual well itself at the center here to the nearest property corner is about 500 feet. And, you know, to the bulk of our development, we're more like 600-700 feet, if not, you know, closer to 1,500 feet. Does that kind of help to answer your question?
And I think a lot of
It
the-
answers my question as far as the locations, but I'll just do some research on it, and I guess I'll submit some
So-
questions.
Yeah, so this circle down here is the public well.
Yes,
It's off-site, it's not shown on our plan sheets because it's not on our property.
okay. Thank you.
You know, a lot of that, I think, comes down to that TSS removal, right, when you're in zone 2, which was one of the things, that is one of the reasons we're asking that question, right? So if you're at that level you described, Carlton, you know, that arguably meets the DEP standard for zone 2. And that's what we'll be looking at to confirm. Does that help, Nicole?
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing you.
Oh, I'm sorry. So I'll try and speak a little louder, right? So a lot of the issue in that zone 2 is that TSS management of the stormwater, like TSS levels, removals, which is what we were talking about at the beginning of Carlton's presentation, right? It's germane to a lot of things, but it's germane to the zone 2 situation relative to that well and what the DEP standard is there. So that's what Data will be analyzing, is to confirm and ensure that stormwater management meets or exceeds the DEP requirements for zone 2 relative to the well.
Yeah, and I don't know if Chris wants to pull that back up, but a lot of your downtown is in the same zone too, and even areas that have just recently been developed.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little, let's see, I can do, that might help. So this is the zone 2 that, you know, it's substantial portions of town. So that's what that red polygon shows. We can make that a little more visible. But, you know, really, most of downtown here, Town Hall, let's see, the Taj, you know, the shopping centers all along here are also in that zone 2. That makes it a little more clearer. And then we can look at this maybe as the bright yellow. That's the zone 1, which is the well property itself, more strictly regulated in all senses. Zone 2, outside, you know, there are additional regulations for work in the zone 2, but not to say that it's not developable.
And the key is, have we met, you know, or you guys met those DEP standards for that zone? That's
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So hopefully this kind of shows that a little bit more clearly. You know, our site is in the zone 2, you know, but from the well itself, we're about 500 feet away, and that well is also upstream of us. So not to say that there's not groundwater interaction between those two things, but it's certainly not like our site discharges directly to this well site.
Okay, thank you. I had just one more question. On the plans, I completely missed it. You planning on putting a compost right on the site?
I think that might be noting an existing compost site. We're not proposing any compost on
Oh,
site.
okay. Thank you.
Any other questions from commissioners?
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay. Any questions from anybody in chambers or online?
Yes.
Just a quick question, where do I stand over here?
Yes, if you can just stand over there and give your name and address, please.
Cooper Winston, 23 Village Way, Franklin. Our development is one of the downstream recipients of the Uncas Brook water. And so my personal concern is the drainage. And I see that with the plans here that we're going to get clean drainage, much cleaner drainage due to this very good catch basin system. We're also going to get 37 less
drainage, if I understand the engineer correctly. My question is, where does the rest of it go? Does it go into the wetlands? I mean, you need to dispose of 100% of it. 37% goes into Uncas Brook. Where's the rest go?
The other percentage is gonna go into the ground, and it ultimately will flow downstream. The recharge of the groundwater obviously slows the water of the discharge getting into that groundwater of the stream, obviously much longer than it would take the flooding to pass. So it's gonna be proposed to go back into the ground.
And the ground is capable of absorbing that 63%?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions in chambers there, Louis?
Do you have anybody else? Yes, please.
Thank you. Evening, Mr. Chairman and members. Joel DeRico here, 72 Deerview Way, Franklin. I'm a pro-development person, but I'm not in love with impervious coverage that exists on a 15-acre site that has a substantial amount of wetlands. So I have some questions that I'd like to ask the engineer. He can chime in and answer my questions, and then we look forward to see what Beta has to say about it. We have a 15-acre site, and I just want to clarify if the engineer can tell us what is the post-development impervious coverage of the site?
Just give me 1 second here. Approximately 5.4 acres. And that's not including the existing impervious, that's the total proposed.
So the buildings and the parking lot and all the other structures that are going to cover the land will be how many acres?
5.4 total,
Okay.
not new.
So 9.5
Less than that new.
9.5 acres will be green?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the size of the wetland on the site, it's
Okay.
substantial.
All right, okay. You're Mr. Quinn, Engineer Quinn?
Yes, sir.
All right, you mentioned 2-year storms when you first started your comments this evening. Were you saying that 2-year storms work effectively with the drainage system? I heard you say 2-year storms, and I was just...
No, I think I mentioned the 2-year storms to note that we would just be discharging, I think it was like 85% less water in the smaller storms, the 2-year storms.
All right, okay, that's all, because my concern is how things operate in the 25, 50, 75, and 100-year storms. And
So we're regulated to design to the 2, the 10, and the 100. So
Right.
those are what we're required to do.
Okay, all right, so nothing in between. The 100 is the max, approximately 8 inches of rain in 24 hours.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And so how does your drainage designs work with the CAD system, with the 100-year storm on this site?
I can pull it up here for you.
I mean, I'm wondering if you can grade it, how you feel it's not going to have...
Carlton. Sorry, go ahead, Carlton. Sorry to interrupt.
So for the 2, the 10, and the 100-year storm, we studied these 3 points. This is the culvert coming across the first crossing, the second crossing, and I assume you're most concerned with what we're discharging off-site in the 3rd study point down here. That's what ultimately runs off of the site into Uncas Brook area.
Right. Well, it's not just that, it's the whole parcel, but it's also where the water ends up.
Right, so I would say 95% of the water runs into this low point right at the middle. There may be some ancillary areas off the back here, but it all ultimately runs into here. And this study point ultimately analyzes everything in this kind of purple and blue area. So ultimately, everything comes this way because it's the lowest point of the property.
Right, yeah.
So this is the study point number 3. This is the flow coming off site.
Mm-hmm.
In the current conditions, the 2-year storm, there's 7 CFS coming off, that's cubic feet per second, 12, and then 22.5 in the 100-year storm
Mm-hmm.
for the existing conditions here. We've reduced that in the 2-year storm by 60%, the 10-year storm by 53, and the 10-year storm by 18. But this only tells you the peak flow that's coming off the site. We also studied the total volume that comes off the site for the entire storm.
True.
Which I can also show you, is this here, the study point volume, the cubic feet summary for the whole project. And then we're down here at study point 3, so the existing cubic feet was also studied for the 2, the 10, and the 100. And you can see the totals here.
All right.
And we're reducing it 65% for the 2, 59 for the 10, and 37 for the 100.
And I recognize that that's from the CAD system, the computer program. And you anticipate that Beta is going to wrap their arms around it and accept it? Or
Beta does what they do as much as anybody in the business, and I don't think anyone would say that Beta is a pushover to deal with in
Right.
any sort of stormwater design. They're going to do a thorough review.
Right, which came
They'll-
today?
they'll-
Did that just
they'll
come today?
analyze-
The Beta review?
Sorry, I missed that.
Did that just come today, Mr. Chairman, the Beta review?
I received it about 4 hours ago myself.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr.
Yes.
Quinn.
No problem,
Yes,
thank you.
It did just arrive, I think we got it yesterday late. So yeah, it just came in. So they'll analyze this data independently, right? I mean, this is a lot of data calculations and math, and Beta's job will be to independently double check that, the statistics for accuracy, if that helps.
Thank you.
Good question. Louis, do we have anybody else in
Yes, we do, Mark.
chambers?
Yep.
Great.
Hi, good evening, Gene Grella, 36 Redgate Lane. I just wanted just to make a comment about the public well. So the state law says 400 feet, there's a 400-foot radius. But if you can imagine that, that radius extends out. So the closer you are to that 400 feet, the more you have to watch for any sort of contamination. Other things that you have to look at also is the pumping capacity, how much you're pumping from the well, because you're drawing into the well as well from the local area. So this obviously is a lot to look into regarding this this well, but I just wanted to say 400 is the minimum. We should, I think, look to in this case exceed the minimum, especially when you're looking at putting, parking lots with a lot of cars on top of that, with snow removal, with potential fertilizers, and all this has to be done. The other thing that I wrote in the letter too is that there should need to be some sort of a legal covenant regarding protection of the well as part of this project. Thank you.
All right. Louis, anybody else?
Is there anybody else? Or online?
Anybody online? Okay. Well, Chris and Carlton, AJ, again, I found this very informational. Thanks for putting it together. Appreciate you coming in to present it tonight. Beta's taking a look at it. We'll get their input, and we'll reconvene. But thank you for your time. And with that, unless there's any further comments, Michael, do you want to give us a motion to continue the NOI for 444 East Central Street to September 4th at 7:03?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for 444 East Central Street to September 4th at 7:03.
Second. Vote to continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue?
Continue.
Continue.
Vote to continue. All right, motion's continued. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carlton. Thank you, Chris.
All right, next we have up the NOI for 260 Daniel Street. Does anybody see Brian Hassett. Hello, Brian.
You got the trees on there. Did we get?
Brian, you had your hand up. It looks like you're muted.
Sorry, yeah, no, I'm in now. Just took me a little bit to get everything hooked up. So, yep, yeah, I'm here.
You know, I don't know if you have anything you want to present. Looks like we did get the trees on the plan. Thank you. And at this point, we're just waiting on the invasive species management plan from Jimmy. Emailed him in that regard. I don't think he's here tonight, so we're really just waiting on him. I think you guys have done your part, and the plans look solid. I don't know if any of the other commissioners have opinions on that. I don't think there's any other issues with the plans. It's just that one last piece. So Brian, beyond that, I don't know if you had anything to add or comments. Appreciate you coming in.
No, I was just here if there were any questions, any discussion that we're gonna have. If you guys want to see the plans, you know, but it is just 2 trees, so.
So weren't we?
Any questions from any of the
We were just
commissioners
waiting
there?
for the trees on the plans and the invasive species plan, and that was
Yeah,
it?
and they did get the trees on the plan, so that's done. So we got that account. We're
down to 1.
We're batting 50%. We're batting 500 tonight, Richard. Just waiting for Jimmy and the invasive species. And we chased him on email, so, you know, he said he's working on it. Hopefully get that. Love to get this done. I know it's been frustrating for the resident, but just got to get that plan.
Yeah, thanks, Brian. I appreciate you updating the drawings. Is there a way we can reach out? I guess we reached out to the contractor. You know, we're really just trying to close this one off.
Right.
I think the last piece is just submitting the invasive species plan. That's really it. The drawings are there. Looked at them. They look.
Can't be that hard.
You know, I think we're just looking for that verbiage, and that's it. If that's.
Jimmy did say he was up north, out of pocket, so that was, I'm just giving you the information he provided, right? So that did take some time, I guess, but yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I guess we'll continue this one.
Yeah. So Roger, you want to give us a motion to continue the NOI for 260 Daniel Street to September 4th at 7:04?
Yes, I'll make a motion for the NOI to be continued for 260 Daniel Street until, for 7:04 on September 4th.
Second?
Vote to continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue?
Continue.
Continue.
Vote to continue. Brian, thanks for your help.
Thank you, Brian.
Trying to move this along.
Definitely appreciate it, guys. Thanks.
All right. All righty. Next, we have the ANRAD for 731 King Street. I don't know if we have anybody in for that. So, nobody online or in chambers. Okay. So, the one remaining thing we had outstanding was to have the topo lines added to the plans. That was accomplished. So I've asked the folks at Beta to write up an ORAD for this, and hopefully we can go to vote and close this out next meeting. All the points we had asked about look like they've been addressed. So potentially we can close this out next time. So with that, we really can't take any questions because I don't have the applicant here, but just I think the update is fair game. So Nicole, you're up. Do you want to give us a motion to continue the ANRAD for 731 King Street to September 4th at 7:05?
I give motion to continue at the ANRAD for 731 King Street for 7:05 on September 4th.
Second. Vote to continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue?
Continue.
Continue.
Vote to continue. All right, it's continued. All right, and then our final public hearing is a NOI for Lot 2 Forge Parkway. Do we have anybody here for that application?
They're out there.
West Central Street, Forge Park.
I think they stepped out. We're gonna call them back in, so stand by.
All right.
Do you, while they're set up, anybody wanna, anybody good? Good break? Never mind.
We're back.
Hey.
You're back?
But you can't hide it.
You need a display of people?
If you have one, I have one in my fifties.
They in chambers, Louis?
They are, they're just setting up.
Sorry, but yeah, sorry about that.
Okay, good. All
You
right.
guys flew through the last couple ones. I thought we had a little more time.
I didn't know those existed. I would have benefited from one of those.
What's that?
The stand.
Oh, the fold-up easel?
Yeah.
The lifesaver.
Man.
It's like an engineer built it.
Well, when I used to present, you know, like,
Nice, it fits right in a briefcase.
it does.
Carry it around. Just need to make these levels.
I need to order some of those.
Set up all of that.
So I guess I can start here. Again, Rick Goodrow for the record, we're here with Brad Chaffee, the applicant for the property at Lot 2 Forge Parkway. I guess best to get up to the board, make a presentation here. So this is initial public hearing. We have not received a DEP file number, have not received any comments from Beta as of yet. We know this is relatively new, so we would expect that Beta will have something hopefully pretty soon, which we can discuss timing on that later. But what we wanted to do is kind of come in with the project and give the commission an overview of the project, if that works for you.
That'd be good.
All right, great. So the property is located at Lot 2 Forge Parkway. It's at the intersection of West Central Street and Forge Parkway. The old Route 140 area over by BJ's, to give everybody a reference as to where it is. And what we're proposing to do is, actually, let me go back this way. What we're proposing to do is to construct a 11,000, just over 11,000 square foot footprint building. That building would be for Mr. Chaffee's operations. Building would have parking to the front, the side here, as well as the side here. A area for trucks to enter into the rear of the building, located in this vicinity here. We have, I guess the best way would be to flip over now to this sheet. So this is the site grading and utility plan. Has a topography on it, and basically, starting with some of the existing conditions, we had got a consultant do a delineation of the wetland areas. In review of some historical documents and site conditions, it appears that the stormwater from the Forge Parkway was conveyed down on the west side of Forge Parkway, and then a cross culvert was installed, and then the stormwater flowed into this wetland area here, and then ultimately under West Central Street heading to the north off-site. So it appears that this area, as well as the area on the west side of the roadway, were historically used for stormwater components, detention, mitigation. What we're proposing to do is, as I mentioned, construct the building and the parking, which is not shown, the parking is not shown here, but this provides some details of some of the more construction aspects that we're looking to talk about. So starting in close proximity to the wetland, we're proposing a retaining wall to be constructed at this location here. That would retain the parking lot from the wetland system itself. Additionally, a retaining wall is proposed in this location here, and a third retaining wall is proposed here from the back corner of the building out to allow for these parking areas to be relatively flat to provide for safe parking and access to the building. We're proposing a sewer and water connection from Forge Parkway into the building, and additionally, probably of greater interest to the commission, we've provided a stormwater system to mitigate the stormwater flows that will be accomplished with the development of the project. And the stormwater system consists of a catch basin 1 here, catch basin 2 here, catch basin 3 here, catch basin 4 here. Those 4 catch basins will capture the stormwater from the paved portion of the site. Additionally, roof connections will be made from the building, and everything will be directed to this underground infiltration system located below the parking lot here. We have provided the commission with a drainage analysis, and that analysis shows that the stormwater for this site has in excess of 80% TSS removal and phosphorus removal, and additionally, the rate and volume of runoff, which is of a concern when a project like this is in close proximity to the wetlands, that the rate and volume of runoff will either be matched in a pre-development condition or decreased in some of the largest storm events that were analyzed. As per the stormwater standards from Mass DEP, we have evaluated the 2-year, the 10-year, and the 100-year storm event. Those calculations are all provided in the drainage analysis, and as a summary, I believe in Appendix B, that summarizes the pre-development conditions and the post-development conditions, which provides for the reduction that I had talked about, or the matching or the reduction that I had talked about. Moving on, we have also provided a landscape plan for the project. We have some schedule of plantings located in the upper right-hand corner. They consist of some trees in and around the parking lot area, but I think of more importance to the commission, we've proposed some mitigation plantings, which are 37 shrubs to be planted on the down gradient side of the wall on the closest area to the wetland system itself. Additionally, the applicant would be proposing 2 types of ground covers. Either mulch or a decorative stone would be one type, and the second type would be a New England Conservation and Wildlife mix. And we've identified the areas where those would take place. And they're very, very, very minimal, if any, turf lawn. They don't want any maintenance lawn. They want to use either natural grasses that will establish and require low maintenance from a mowing and fertilizing standpoint, or some stone and mulch in different areas, and possibly some foundation plantings or perimeter plantings in the future. So we've provided that. We've also provided an erosion control plan. We have stabilized construction entrance. We have an erosion control compost sock located at the down gradient side of the work area, and we've provided for some material stockpiles, which will also be encapsulated with some erosion control measures. We've provided construction sequence, erosion control, notes, and various details. Certainly talk about those if the commission had any concerns or items they wanted to discuss specifically. Additionally, we've provided a buffer zone disturbance for the project. We are not proposing any work within the 0 to 25-foot buffer zone. Within the 25 to 50-foot buffer zone, we were proposing just over 5,000 square feet of work and disturbance. The 50 to 100, we're just over 17,000 square feet. We do have just over 2,600 square feet of impervious proposed within the 50-foot buffer zone. And we have identified that within the 50 to 100-foot buffer zone, we're just over 79% impervious. But as I mentioned, the first mitigation factor for that was the elaborate and extensive stormwater system that we proposed, which is looking at not only matching or decreasing the rate of runoff, but also the volume of runoff. So the groundwater infiltration, as summarized in the stormwater drainage analysis, is showing what the results would be. And I have those specific numbers if anyone has any questions on those. But in the review of your bylaw, the concern with impervious areas within close proximity of the wetlands is primarily stormwater runoff increases. So we took great strides to provide a stormwater system that would mitigate that. Additionally, with the excess of 30% coverage within the 50 to 100-foot buffer zone, some impervious pavement proposed within the 25 to 50-foot buffer zone, we also, as I mentioned, had proposed the tree plantings to provide for some additional mitigation. So that's a summary of the project. And as I mentioned, we're awaiting comments from DEP and from Beta, but we wanted to make a presentation to the commission and see if the commission members or any abutters had any comments, concerns, or items to address. Thank you.
Rick, the 2645 impervious in the 25 to 50 buffer zone, that's included in the total 5061 disturbance?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay, all right, I would have thought so. And do you have I'm just looking online at the plans, do you have the locations of the proposed tree plantings?
Yes. So if you look at the legend, there's 3 trees proposed to be planted, which are red maples. One's located here, one's located here, and a third one is located here. Those are the tree plantings. Additionally, there's 37 shrubs that are being proposed, and those are located on the down gradient side of the retaining wall in the area that'll be slightly disturbed temporarily for the installation of the retaining wall. So we thought that would be the most appropriate place for those plantings in close proximity to the wetlands. And again, no turf lawn would be installed on the down gradient side. That would get seeded with the conservation and wildlife mix.
So the disturbance to construct the retaining wall, is that part of the 5061?
That's correct.
Okay, so that 5061 isn't all permanent disturbance. That includes some temporary disturbance for the retaining wall?
Correct, in some areas that will be revegetated, yes.
Got it, okay.
Thank
great.
you.
Yeah, that helps, thank you. Okay. That's all I had off the top. And we'll have stormwater statistics just looking through this. Okay. Good. Any other questions from other commissioners?
Wait, did you want to comment?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I can just give a little bit of background to the lot and kind of, so, it's, believe it or not, with all the stuff in Franklin that we do and stuff, it's hard to find a business industrial lot. I mean, most of the ones that kind of come to the commission you guys have seen are, you know, either wetlands or something. It's not as easy as you would think. And so something I've been looking actually for a few years for kind of my construction operations. We have an office that's in the center of town, handles a lot of our leasing, tenants and clients, but I've really been looking for, you know, more of a business industrial kind of warehouse place that I can have either equipment inside or just our general shop, things of that nature. So I came across this, and this was probably before Bricolai was on leave. I know the company that owns this and kind of worked through it. I also wanted to take an opportunity to kind of say it's never been maintained. I don't know if anyone's looked across the intersection of where BJ's is. It's just been that way for 40 years. So I kind of started this off. It's a challenging lot. I mean, it's a hill. That's where the retaining walls are and stuff. So I kind of said, all right, when Bricolai spoke, and I said, well, maybe this is an opportunity, and if the commission has any ideas of beautifying that whole area. So I just want to say I'm open to any ideas or anything, you know, I don't know necessarily in the wetland, but I am, you know, happy to accommodate and try to clean up that whole corner. Because if you have a chance to go by, you'll see it's just been, you know, it's just a jungle of different things and trees that have fallen and all that. So I'm very open to any suggestions. We gave our best shot at trying to see what we could do with what the walls are and kind of doing, you know, mitigation and plantings, but I'm open for any opportunity to do more and to make that whole area look nice. So, and it would be my personal building. Maybe I rent out a small portion of it to another business, but the majority of it would be for me. So just a little background on everything of where this kind of came from. Thank you.
Thanks.
You know, one thing that prompts, I was thinking about, I gotta admit, when I was looking at the plans, if you look at that small corner of the lot, I think it's in the southwest corner, what's there now? I mean, like you said, that's pretty overrun. That, you know, I wonder if that's an opportunity for, if I'm looking at it right.
In this corner here, Mark, or this corner?
Hold on, let me, you're not on the screen, so I don't know if, oh, there you go. Yeah, now I can see it.
This
Bottom, other side.
over here?
Yeah, yep.
So currently, there are a couple of cabinets with some control panels in there. Electrical telephone type systems are located in a little area here that's been created basically for a vehicle to pull in and then, I'm assuming, maintain those. So that's what's here. Is it railroad?
Yeah,
The railroad right here.
Yeah, the railroad's there.
This is the MBTA line.
I think their stuff is located past the
Yeah.
property line. There is a lot of stuff for the railroad there. That stuff, I believe, is just for Forge Park and the lighting and all that stuff.
Okay.
But yeah,
Right.
the railroad stuff is much.
Right. Unfortunately, Forge Park, the group that purchased this property in the 1980s, then developed the division of land for the subdivision, basically, for the parkway, but they never granted any easements. So we're not 100% sure, and they don't even remember what those cabinets are for. But what I can say is we were able to open one. I shouldn't have said that. And it definitely looked like telephone. But to Richard's point, there's some control panel systems here that are for the railroad. There's the gate that goes up and down when the train comes through to stop traffic. Some controls for that. So I'm guessing that's what those are. We didn't investigate those, or I shouldn't admit that we did. But anyway, yeah, so I think to elaborate on Brad's point, what we initially started with is focusing on mitigation was an extensive stormwater system, 80+% TSS removal, significant infiltration, and then bolstered that with the plantings. There is, as I mentioned, this area has been used historically as a stormwater component of the industrial park. If the commission, had the inclination to take a site walk out there, had, some ideas about some things that may be available to us for some additional mitigation, I think that's what Brad's point is he's open to that. Just, wanted to kind of highlight the different areas that we identified. As Brad mentioned, we do believe those control panels one being telephone system for the park, but also, the lighting for the street lights, the intersection, uplighting, I believe, at the intersection where the signage is, things of that nature we believe are controlled in there. When this goes forward and Brad ends up purchasing this property, I would assume that there'll be some type of easements that'll be necessary to accommodate those control structures, but.
So that whole piece is going to be part of your property, and
Yeah,
the
it's,
buildable part is the corner you're trying to shoehorn in there.
I would say there's 3.5 acres. I want to say there's a acre and a half or an acre and 1.3 or something of kind of upland outside that, just to give you a
Yeah,
brief.
there is some additional upland over here.
Yeah, I mean,
but
just kind of on the
it's
upper
really
side.
the shoulder for the roadway. It's not something that we, looked at trying to do any development in, nor would we. It really doesn't make a lot of
So, yeah, it's
sense.
steep.
And that building, from your drawings,
Yeah.
the long building off your property to the right-hand side,
This-
that's the storage units down there or something like that?
Yeah.
Correct.
It's
Right,
like a
yeah.
garage or something.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Yes,
And then,
then Glen Farmer.
you get, Glen Farmer, so yeah.
that's over in this direction.
That's 2 lots down.
What is that line that comes down from the top middle and?
This?
Yes.
That's the soils line. So we have undrolands located to the north of the line, north and west, and a Freetown muck soil located on this side of the line. So that soils line from the NRCS soils maps comes to here, and then there's a third soil type back here, which is a Hollis rock outcrop. So we use that for the evaluation of the surface conditions when we start the drainage calculations, those different type soils, hydrologic soil groups based on the soils mapping, and that affects the runoff. So A soils have more infiltration characteristics than, say, a D soil. And then obviously the Freetown muck, which is the wetland system. Not sure they 100% mapped it accurately, but, I think the wetland may have been slightly smaller before all the stormwater from the park was introduced to it, 40 years ago.
You did test pits already.
I was gonna say, if the commission remembers, a few months I came in and asked to do test
Yeah.
pits in the buffer zone, and this is what it was for.
Correct. So we have identified the soils, and they range from a sandy loam to sands and gravels in the layers we were more evaluating for stormwater infiltration systems. And that's consistent with what the NRCS mapping was saying. When you look at the classifications of the type of soils that you may find in that, it's consistent with the soil testing we did. I can't say, we didn't go out and dig test pits in the wetland.
Oh, you didn't open the boxes either.
Correct, so. Yeah, but anyway, so we assumed that the soils mapping was accurate there, and that's what we used, which is typical for the analysis. But there's no change occurring, so it's apples to apples in the comparison. The main focus area is the apples to oranges from the current conditions to the development conditions. Thank you.
Are the wetlands flagged?
Yes. Yes. The wetlands are flagged. We provided you with a report from Goddard Consultant. The wetlands report that has the field data forms and the delineation and whatnot. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
So you'll be building the retaining wall first, I see your erosion control, so it includes the retaining wall, and that's just to enclose everything within the area, so is that my understanding?
That's correct. So this portion of the site will be much higher than the wetlands.
Yep.
So as the project's being constructed, that wall will act as a natural barrier.
Got it.
To Roger's point earlier about putting in some markers, I was paying attention. I think the wall will be a pretty good indication of where there's,
Yeah.
first of all, it's 14 feet down.
Yeah.
If you fell off the wall, so it's a pretty good indication that this is the line we shouldn't be passing.
Right, yeah.
And I don't think there's much reason for them to want to go down there for anything.
Yeah.
So I think that's a pretty good indication. And we have used those, Norfolk has them, and they actually make us put a placard on the top of it that has writing on it that gets, drilled into them. So I didn't want to interrupt earlier, but, yeah, so we have used those. And I like the granite too. Brad prefers the concrete, it's less expensive, but I like the granite, it's not going anywhere. So, yes, to answer your question, yes, that wall will act as a natural barrier. Our anticipation is, from a construction sequence, that this wall will get constructed very, very early on, and the site will get filled up against it. And then there'll be some exposed wall at the top, so during construction, any, potential runoff would be contained up on the top of the wall.
Yeah.
And then below the wall, you'll have the compost sock, so if anything did breach the wall, the compost sock would be there to mitigate that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Big wall.
Yeah.
I mean, we're taking the hill and, making a flat
Cutting
spot.
one side, building a wall to hold the railroad up.
Yeah.
Yeah, a wall.
You're digging down.
Oh, yeah. So when you get close to this railroad, do you have to coordinate anything with them? Just
You probably have to talk to the railroad.
We'll have a conversation with the railroad when.
They get real snarky
Oh.
when you get too close to them.
They sure do.
Yeah.
Try working on one.
Yeah, I know. I've been yelled at more than once.
You and me both. So,
Looks good.
I'll have some renderings too, I didn't have them tonight, I wanted to have a discussion with everybody first and just kind of get the ball rolling first, but we have some kind of in our back pocket, just to help visualize. We'll have the retaining wall, the wetland, just.
we're early on
Yeah.
in the process, but, as the commission knows, you have a statutory time frame to hold a hearing, so here we are. And we understand that this isn't gonna happen overnight. We have not been to the planning board yet, who doesn't have the same very rapid statutory time frame that you guys have, and DEP hasn't even acted yet. So we understand there's some time here that's gonna take place to get this done, but we wanted to take this opportunity, tell you guys what we're proposing, see if there's any comments early on that, we can address, if you'd like to schedule a site walk to see the wetland, see if there's any, mitigation measures that could take place there, as Brad had mentioned, to beautify that, clean it up, wildlife enhancements, different options that we've considered but didn't go too deep into, because we wanted to hear from you guys.
I think you ought to see if you could put a few more plantings in that little, where the cabinets were.
Yeah, that's fine.
Think you could sneak some more in there?
That's where I was going,
Yeah.
Richard.
Oh, in this area here?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a tree line shown here, and, we're not proposing to do any clearing of that tree line, that will remain. But we could certainly look at
Do
that.
some more plantings and everything, that'd help mitigate.
Sure, no, yeah, I mean, as I said, we intend to keep some. I think we'd have to be cautious of blocking their access, but
Oh, yeah.
certainly we could.
Anything rude, but.
No, certainly we can look at some plantings in that area.
Yeah.
Sure, that's exactly what we're here for tonight, thank you.
That's what Mark was getting at, I think.
See, I anticipated you want more plantings near the wetlands.
That'll come. We can do that too.
I retract that statement.
Any other comments or questions?
Good.
No, I don't.
All right, well, guys, I know it's a quick turnaround for us, but I think it's always helpful to have you come in and present the information live, rather than just see it, on our drive, so we appreciate the time.
Same.
Hey, Mark.
Gives a
sorry.
lot more context. Go ahead,
So
Billy.
do we have to open it up to folks before we?
Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, I was just making the last comment, but yeah, 100%, any comments in chambers or online, let us know. Okay,
Nobody here?
so Richard, you're up. You can give us a motion to continue the NOI for Lot 2 Forge Parkway to 9/4, and I think we are up.
7:06.
7:06, exactly.
I'll give you a motion to continue the NOI for Lot 2 Forge Parkway to September 4th at 7:06.
Second.
Is that too soon for you, or?
As long as if we can get comments back, and maybe it'd be nice to address some of them, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my only, if we didn't get comments back, then.
We could, it's a good question, right? We can always continue.
Yeah.
but
If we have comments, it would be
Put it on.
nice
Continue
to bring that up, yeah.
Yeah, we hope that Beta can wrap up their review in the next week or so, and we'd have some time to digest those comments and then come in and talk more about them. If the commission has an opportunity or wants to schedule a site walk with either Brad or myself, or, walk it yourselves. I mean, I can't speak for Brad if there's access issues, but,
Be happy to show you around.
yeah. The commission wants to see the property. It is unique. I do think there are some possibilities there for some additional mitigation. If that's something you want to entertain in the next couple of weeks, and we can come back and talk about that.
Yeah.
So there's, we know we have a path. We've got to deal with the planning board as well, so we're not trying to push this, but we do appreciate the commission's time and don't want to, again, put ourselves on the agenda and then not be ready. So, okay.
So I guess I'll second your motion.
Second.
I'll vote to continue.
Vote to continue.
Continue?
Continue.
Continue.
Vote to continue. Motion
Thank
to
you.
continue. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have the rest of your night.
With any luck at all, we might get two or three of those things off next month.
Don't jinx it.
Yeah.
All right, so that's the public hearings. We'll move on to the MBZA's. We've got, let's see, 7 Pauline Drive. And Anna did make a site visit. And I don't know if you want to give us some comments on that. Good to see you, by the way.
Hi. Yeah, sure. Yep, so I made a site visit there last week. And yeah, so I know the DEP layer had shown the wetland further from the tree than what I found. I can show you some pictures. Okay, so this is the tree in question. At least one of the trees. This is the large oak tree that is leaning on the house. That's causing issues with the roof. So as you can see, it's very much leaning on the house. It is also.
It's leaning on the house?
Well, it's partially leaning on the house. I mean, you can see these branches and whatnot are on the house itself.
Cool.
The trunk of the tree is not leaning on the house,
That's a good thing.
but the top of the tree is. So here is, let me find a picture of the wetland. Yeah, so this is me standing in the wetland right here.
Sorry, is that homeowner here?
Yes.
I see Chris there. I didn't know if the homeowner had a chance to introduce himself. Apologies, but
Oh, yeah, sorry.
just wanted.
Yeah, you know what? I should have started there.
Sorry.
You just jumped the gun, but I knew we had some info. So we do have the homeowner in chambers.
Yes, Chris Laviolette, 7 Pauline Drive.
How you doing, Chris?
Fine, how are you, sir?
I'm actually really, really well. Certainly give you the opportunity if you'd like to make any comments, before we get too far into these observations. I should have given you that opportunity to begin with, my bad. But, so I'll give you the floor, or we can continue with the observations.
No worries. I mean, primarily, I've got a roof project planned. Actually, I've been delayed now based on conversations with the tree companies that I've asked to come and give me a quote. But basically, the idea is I want to get that tree out of the way so that the guys can actually complete the roof project. As you'll notice in that photograph, there are several branches that are now resting on the roof itself. And I'm basically trying to mitigate a safety hazard now too as well. A good northwest or northeast wind, of any gale force could bring could topple that tree on the house, at some point. The tree itself is actually curved or leaning it's not touching the house, but the tree actually leans towards the house. That tree was a lot smaller 34 years ago when I developed built the house. Certainly probably had a chance when we, you know, when we were initially building the property to remove that tree, but I convinced the developer not to take that tree down, and I'm cursing myself now, 33 years plus later.
Well, at the time, it seemed like a good idea.
It did seem like a good idea, but not thinking, you know, 33 years ahead, not even sure if I would even have been there well, now I didn't, you know, clearly I've been there for 33 years, but wasn't in the plans when I first built the house that I, you know, might see 33 years in the house.
Now, you have other trees you want to remove as well?
Yeah, so, well, not so much remove, I'm really more interested in limbing some of that pine tree, so from the oak tree itself, if you can imagine, if you're looking forward at the oak tree, there's a stand of 3 maple trees in between that and a larger pine tree. Sorry, for lack of a better term, but the maple trees effectively like Siamese triplets, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
They kind of share a base, but then there are 3 trees that go up. One of the trees actually curved over towards the house, the top of the tree. It actually came down in an ice storm about 10 years ago. Those trees, I can probably live with the way that they are, but the pine tree itself, there are several limbs that I'd like to take off of that tree. I'm not looking to remove that tree at all in any way, shape, or form, because fortunately that tree is leaning away from the house. So the likelihood of that tree falling on the house, remote at best. It's a good live tree. I don't anticipate that tree ever coming down.
So your preference is to take the oak tree down in total? In total,
correct.
And then do some limb work on these pine trees?
On that pine tree, correct.
Okay. And was the pine tree in the 0 to 25 as well?
I think it's actually closer, if gathering from what.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have this picture right here, and I believe these might be the trees that you're referring to. This looks like the red maples, with the 3
yes,
individual
exactly.
trunks.
Yep.
And then I believe this is probably the pine tree, and then this is the oak tree that's leaning.
That's correct.
Towards the house. Yeah.
So I'm sorry, sir, what was your name again?
Chris, last name is Laviolette.
Oh, Chris. Yeah, so here was a thought, right, to get us through this, and we need to discuss this as a commission, but I just want to bounce the idea off you, right? So one of the challenges we have is we get at these trees in the 0 to 25-foot buffer zone, right, which requires more than a MBZA, it's more than a minor buffer zone activity application. The next easiest way to get this is an RDA. What we thought we would discuss tonight, if you're open to it, is emergency authorization to remove the oak tree, right? We don't want to hold that up. And then we'd ask you to file an after the fact RDA. We credit you the cost that you paid for the MBZA. We just kind of we get caught in an odd situation jurisdictionally and procedurally with this buffer zone, right? So we don't want to cost you any more money. We could credit you. It's a slightly different process. You could go through that retroactively. That would, after the fact, permit the removal of the oak tree. We don't want to hold that up. And then that will give you the ability to do whatever you need to do to the pine trees. But because they're in that buffer, that's just that's our requirement for permitting that we're held to. Does that seem like a reasonable?
That's more than reasonable. Actually, that's perfect, because I've actually signed the contract for the roof already, and I've already pushed off the start of the roof project. Actually, the roof project originally was planned to start last week, but after then talking to the tree company and then recognizing or realizing that I now needed to seek the commission's approval to do so, it's pushed off that roof project. But yeah, I've put a third down on the roof project, and it works for me.
I mean, for the commission standpoint, does that seem reasonable to everybody?
Works for me.
Yes. Seems good.
Okay. All right. So that's what we'll do, Chris. You got the emergency okay to go ahead and take down that oak tree. Do you feel you're going to need to remove the stump?
No, the plan would be to I would actually leave the stump in the ground. I think it'll hold back that part of it. So if you can imagine now, there's actually a step, if you've seen from the photographs, so there is actually a step down behind that tree. And basically I want those tree roots to hold that soil in place as long as possible. I mean,
That
at
makes
some point, I
sense.
imagine the root system will fail to do that, but probably long since we'll all be gone anyway.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that
Mr.
sounds like a
Chair, if
good
I
plan.
Might weigh in one
Go-
more time. I just want to kind of
Go ahead,
clarify, as far as like the fee goes, I think we were mentioning the filing fee specifically for an RDA is similar to, for a residential project, is similar to the minor buffer zone activity fee. So as far as that goes, the $50 paid for that could go towards that. But I believe if, just want to correct me on that, RDA might have other fees as part of the process as it is a public hearing. I just don't want to leave that like, unless I'm incorrect on that part. I just want to make sure that that's understood.
It'll be the easiest money I spend in the whole project right now, I guarantee that.
Yeah, just as a public hearing process.
Sure.
It may have
Understood.
other things, so, just want.
Thank you.
Okay.
Keep an eye on
So,
that pine tree though, there.
The branches, so there are a couple branches that are beyond,
stays
you know,
healthy.
ladder height, but, you know, are a concern for me as they, you know, as that tree continues to grow, that branch continues, you know, literally as it's growing taller, the branch is growing, you know, the canopy is expanding. And I'd like to at least take some of those bottom branches off of that pine tree at some point.
And Chris, we just ask if you're okay with it, that you hold off on working on the pine tree. after we
Absolutely,
get the RDA.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super. All right. So I think we've got a plan. You've got the okay to take the oak tree down, leave the stump in place. You can work with Tyler to get an RDA filed. We'll credit you the MBZA fee because we directed you that erroneously, but I think we've got a great move forward, and that'll be the plan.
As far as the commission's emergency authorization, can I expect something in writing in case I've got a tree company that won't talk to me?
Email?
No.
I'll go ahead and, actually, Tyler, if you can shoot me, do you have Chris's email?
Yes, I can,
All right, Tyler, if you will you shoot me an email with his email on it?
note that then.
Is that- Or you can just give it to me now, whatever, probably easier if you shoot me an email, right? Why don't you do that?
Okay.
And Chris, I'll shoot you an email.
Perfect, thank you, I appreciate that.
Okay, well, Tyler, we can get that done tomorrow probably, right? Okay. All right, so we're good with that? No issues from anybody in the commission with that plan, just seems reasonable. Okay.
Outstanding. Thank you,
Chris?
everyone. Appreciate it.
Appreciate you coming in. We'll
Thank
get
you.
this thing figured out. We can get the oak tree
Absolutely,
up to
thank
the
you so
house.
much, I appreciate the help.
Yeah.
Thank you, good evening.
Yeah. No sweat. Okay. All right. And Anna, thank you for your help with that. I think it helped give us good context, and that was awesome.
No problem.
8 Squib Knocket, I won't make the same mistake twice. Do we have the resident in the in chambers to talk to us?
Good evening.
We have them here.
I'm back again to get
Good to see you.
some dead trees removed. Unfortunately, most of that is within within a 100-foot buffer zone. One tree is right on the cusp of being in the 25-foot zone. Probably the one that really needs to come down is the one that's closest to but was, or as best I can tell, so on some maps says it's a wetland. But Louis was out there and looked at it, and I don't know if the
So this
wetlands are correct.
is pre-disturbed, right? This is lawn we're talking about.
This is lawn, yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's the thought. So, all right. I'm sorry, go ahead. I was thinking that when you mentioned.
So I think it's nothing more than that. I've been maintaining that as lawn for 30 years almost. The trees suddenly started exhibiting problems about 2 years ago. And now there's at least 6, maybe 8 trees total that need to come down.
And Anna, you took a look at those trees, right?
Yeah, I have pictures of the site again if you guys want to see those.
Yeah, you concur they're dead?
Oh, yeah, there was definitely
Oh, yeah.
a bunch that were dead, not looking good.
Yeah, same.
Okay. All right, and I know Louis, you look too, all right, all right. So, and Louis, you took a look, and, so where we got hung up, right, is we were concerned again that this was gonna be in the 0 to 25, but I think we've got some mitigating factors here in that the information regarding the wetlands was somewhat aged. We've got pre-disturbed, maintained lawn here, right? So Louis, I don't know, or Anna, I don't know if you want to give that any color or context
Yeah.
beyond that?
So I went out to the site, and really, I'm just trying to pull up my photos here. You know, there are identified trees that are just, you know, either one's completely dead, the other one's, you know, has branches, but there's nothing growing. There's no leaves. They're just, you know. Interestingly enough, this site, where it shows like there's wetlands on the map or on the GIS, like it doesn't, at least in my opinion, it doesn't have any of the indicators that, you know, you typically will see of a wetland. I think maybe Anna can, you know, confirm that. But the
Yeah, I agree.
But it's grass. It's really just, you know, it's really just a grassy yard or side yard. So you know, I did see a drain out. He's got two of them. He's got one in the rear. He's got one in the front. And I think over time, perhaps, you know, my theory is that this information was prior to the build. So when they installed this drain in the rear side, it changed things around. So now you have a flow of water on the backside. There are trees. I think you identified two of them that were dead, but then you also had some that had, you know, they were coming close, or at least like touching your utility wires.
There's several touching the.
Yeah, so there's several of them that they're also, you know, crossing that, and you know, if you get like an ice storm or something, you can definitely see that it could become an issue. At least on my end, you know, I'm trying to pull up some photos here just to kind of give some, you know.
So I think our conclusion is, and based on your notes, I think we're all in agreement that it looks like these trees are actually not in a 0 to 25-foot buffer zone for a wetlands, from what we're observation.
It depends on where you measure the wetlands, and the wetlands, like that, the map, I believe, that is on record, was before they installed that storm drain system, the head walls and the culverts.
Right.
And that changed everything. That took all the water off that property 30 years ago.
Because you didn't seem to think it looked like it was in 0 to 25 either, right, Anna?
No, the area in the back of the property that had small wetland indicators was a very small area, like at the back of the storm drain. So I would say, you know, the closest tree is right on the line of the 25, if anything.
Okay, so we're pretty, all right. And you have, how many trees total? I'm looking at all your information here, so.
I counted more like 8 at a minimum.
So you have 8 trees that you want to take down? Do we have the specifics on those? I'm just looking through the information.
Yeah, it's kind of hard, unless I go out and just tag every tree with a, you know, with some tape, which I didn't do. But they're obvious. I think when you go to the property, it wasn't tough to find the dead trees.
Yeah, 2 of them were
Cut down the dead
identifiable.
ones?
Just could, yeah. And then you can definitely see the ones, the 2 that are, you know, crossing the
Yeah,
the
and
power.
a lot, then they're in there too as well.
Yeah.
Like there's trees that are living where the lines go through the grove. Some of those trees are good, and some of them are dead.
Yeah. So.
We're not talking big trees in there, but.
Yeah. So, and then you're also. You're also looking at cutting down or at least removing the top portion of the one that's near to the main, like the larger
This
tree.
this tree that you see right
Yeah,
there.
this one here.
That one would get cut and would leave the stump.
Yes.
Just to hold up that swale, because they dug a swale from that back culvert to the front culvert as a, you know, safety measure for the water.
So you're saying you want to take down 8 trees?
6 to 8, yeah. And I don't have to do it all at once. It can happen over a couple of years, but I just want to, there's a couple of trees that need to come down almost immediately. And those are the ones that when you go out there and you look, you go, there's nothing there left. There's no viable tree left.
So here's what we're trying to accomplish, right? Is we gotta, I mean, this is solvable, right? We've eliminated a big obstacle to moving forward. But we've got to be specific on what we're permitting here, right? You know, we've got to say, hey, we're giving you, well, actually, yeah, well, actually, I guess there's a question. Are they even jurisdictional? I mean, is this a buffer zone at all? Oh, not only 0 to 25, I mean, that maybe that's even easy.
I don't even think it's in the 25. I mean, the only reason water comes in
Well-
to the back of that property is because of the storm runoff from Summer Street. That gets
And I mean, if
funneled.
there's not wetland features at all, right?
There were some indicators of wetland further towards the back of the property.
Which
Like,
is-
if you go back to the previous picture,
Yeah, like the
Um,
backside.
no, I would say to the left of this storm. So see like this, where this pine tree is?
Yeah.
In back of that area
Back of that
is where I was seeing wetland vegetation and then some hydric soil indicators.
Yeah.
So that's probably 50 to 100 feet.
Yeah, I would say it's probably just past the 25, maybe like 40 feet, 30 to 40 feet past.
I think
Yeah,
that's
25
town,
to
that's
50,
town
I'm
property
sorry.
at that
Yeah.
point too, so.
So let me ask you a question. So what I'm seeing is those two trees in that picture might be the only ones that are jurisdictional, right? I mean, would you agree with that, Anna?
Yeah, potentially. It's hard to say without the full delineation, but I would
I
say
understand.
most likely,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, I mean, here's a suggestion for the commission. We authorize part of the MBZA, the removal of those two trees right there, and it sounds like anything else you're gonna take down isn't even jurisdictional because there's no longer wetlands there. And I'm not making the decision, I'm kind of summarizing what I think I've heard, but, you know, Louis or other commissioners, I'd be interested in your guys' opinions here, if that sounds like, you know, I mean, I don't think we're gonna delineate wetlands for this situation, but I think we've got a good grasp on it.
Well, it's a good way to get it moving. You know, there's no sense, if it's not jurisdictional, it's not jurisdictional.
Right.
Two of them, you have to file, what do we gotta do, an MBZA or an NO?
Well, he already did the MBZA, right? So
All right.
we could approve the MBZA tonight on those two trees we're looking at, because those, I mean, the mitigating factor here is, you know, we've got historic information on wetlands on site that seems inaccurate, right, based on 2 on-site observations. So, you know, that, what we thought was jurisdictional is a lot more limited than what we initially suspected, so we've got, but there they are, right, those two trees?
Those two, yeah.
Yeah, so we're potentially looking at approving an MBZA to remove those two trees, and then he's free to remove the trees in the rest of his yard, because, you know, as long as they're not around that pine tree we just pointed out, we don't feel they're jurisdictional. I'm making a suggestion and observation. I'd just like to make sure everybody else feels comfortable with that.
Sounds good to me, sounds, you know.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Just for these two, I think just the stumps need to, you know, keep.
Those are the only ones that I think were in question, is it violating any buffer zone that's 25 feet? It depends on where you measure it and where the wetlands are, and those wetlands have moved or no longer exist.
Yeah.
Oh, so are you open to leaving the stumps in place for those two trees? Or
Absolutely, yeah, I'm not gonna spend money.
Okay.
They need to hold up that swale.
Yes, that was the other.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There's no stump grinding there. There's stuff more at the front of the street by Scribnocket that I'm more interested in grinding those stumps, but.
Yep.
That's fine.
Okay.
So what do we do?
So we're gonna look to approve the MBZA for the removal of those two specific trees. And then you're free to do work on the rest of the trees in your yard as we don't feel that's jurisdictional.
Mhm.
So, motion to approve the MBZA for 8 Squibnocket relative to the 2 trees indicated in that particular photograph. And, I don't know, Louis, is that your photograph?
Yes.
All right, yeah, maybe label that as a component of the MBZA approval, something like that, so we know exactly which photograph we're talking about.
Okay.
Just so we can document it, if you don't mind.
All right.
So, I guess, Louis, you're up, you could give us a motion to approve the MBZA at 8 Squibnocket for those 2 trees, as discussed.
Yeah. I'll give you a motion to approve the removal of the 2 trees shown with conditions on 8 Squibnot Road.
I'll second that. I'll vote to approve.
Approve?
Approve?
Approve.
Vote to approve.
Thank you.
All right, well, I know
Okay.
this took a little longer than we all thought, but I think we did our diligence and we found a good way forward, so appreciate your
I appreciate
patience.
it, and at some point, I'll, because that wetlands map exists, I've got to get rid of it somehow, so I'll be back at some point. If I got to pay to have somebody reflag it or do something to prove that it's not there anymore.
I wonder how that works.
I mean, yeah, you could do, a process is called an ANRAD, and you could have, any wetland resources delineated and flagged. That would, you need to pay somebody to do that. But
So do I,
that would-
because where the wetlands most likely exist are on town property. So would I have have the ability to flag wetlands and property I don't own?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's a,
Because right about where that head wall culverts exist, beyond that about 5 feet is the town, owns the land.
Well, you'd want to have that documented in case you want to sell the property.
That's
right?
exactly what I'm trying to do. I want to make it easy for,
So you're probably going to have to hire a wetlands engineer to go out and
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I did that once when we put an addition on the house. I had it in what the information
How
I
old
gave
is
down.
that?
There's a soil and plant report.
you had Rick
Did he
Goodrow.
is there like a plan,
Yeah.
like a plan that shows the new?
Yeah, Rick Goodrow from, that we've been talking to all night, delineated that for him back in 2006.
Was that the guy?
So, yeah, you could, yeah, that's the letter you sent us, right? So you
Yeah,
could
no.
contact him again.
We did that so we could put an addition on the house.
Yeah.
Right.
He pretty much said because
wetlands.
because we're draining it, that anything that was there was unsupported as wetlands plants.
Yeah, Rick Goodrow. So, yeah, if you, I'd actually, they're a reputable firm. I mean, recontact them and see if he can do the delineation for you.
Yeah. I'll give him a call.
If it
He's been
involves
very,
it.
he didn't want me to, I talked to him about 6 months ago to maybe do this as part of getting in front of you guys, and he said, I don't think you need it, it's just, you already have what we did for the addition, and we know where the buffer zones could be, based upon, all right, the culvert's right there, and because there was no other point of reference for wetlands, that's what they used, as, okay, let's draw 25 feet from the center of the culvert. It was the only point of reference they had.
But when you go to sell it, somebody's going to go back into the records and find, if he finds the
I mean,
original one,
Yeah.
that's not good. So you,
The challenge is, he's got
You gotta
the
get the new one
25-foot
in.
buffer.
Oh.
He's got a 25-foot buffer right around that culvert, right, on the plans. Right, and that's where we got hung up on this thing, right?
Right.
Honestly, based on what was delineated back in 2006, your trees were in the 0 to 25-foot buffer. That's why we had to go through this exercise.
Yeah.
And it appears that those culverts have potentially changed the circumstances out there. So, we're making a judgment call to remove a couple trees, which is a huge activity. But if you really wanted to understand the wetland delineation, what you have on file now shows a buffer
Yeah.
right next to that culvert.
So that's my
Just
next big hurdle.
Yeah.
Just to get that taken care of, so I can make the property more marketable.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Well, I appreciate your help.
All right, productive time spent. Glad we were able to resolve that.
All right, thank you. Is
Hope
there
it works
anything I
out.
need to do in terms of documenting the tree removal? Or does somebody have to come out, is there any oversight that happens?
I think if you
Hey,
send us
what?
pictures once.
When it's
or-
done.
Or you look,
Yeah.
yeah, well, I think one of the conditions is typically letting us know when they're going to come out and then sending us let me just see the statement. You'll notify the department and the commission at the start of work and notify us when it's been completed. And if you like some pictures.
I'll take pictures, yeah.
You can send pictures.
That's
that'd be
usually
great.
a typical condition.
Okay. Fair enough. Again, thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Good luck.
All right. That ended up being a lot less complex than I thought. Next, we are up to 30 South Street, right?
I just saw him outside, the person who's gonna speak about this, I'm not seeing him now. I didn't see him out in the lobby. This would be the follow-up to, I think, last meeting, one of Anna's site visits had been about this porch that they wanted to put on the property. So if that sounds familiar.
Is the resident there, or they stepped out?
I thought I saw the contractor around, but I'm not seeing him now, and I don't see the resident tonight.
Okay. So I guess, Anna, do you mind giving us your observations? I've got them in the notes here.
Sure. Yeah, so according to the homeowner, and I talked to the contractor on the phone when I was there, they want to build a porch. Let me share some pictures.
The good news is, it sounds like it's pre-disturbed, right?
Yeah, so it's basically within an area that is existing lawn and this little walkway. So they want to build it on this side of the house. This is the wetland down here, if you can see like these yellow and purple plants. And then there's a perennial stream with a 200-foot riverfront area further back in the woodland over here. So I kind of did like an estimate with GIS, and it looked like the proposed porch is about 60 feet from the wetland line and about 170 feet from the perennial stream. So the project would only be within the 50 to 100-foot buffer zone in the outer riverfront area. So I suggested the project could be filed as an NBZA, which is what we're hearing tonight, and that erosion control should be installed down gradient of work, and any disturbed soil should be seeded. I can show some more pictures of the site too.
Yeah, would you mind looking through?
Yeah, sure. Yep, so this is the area where the porch would be installed, so pre-disturbed. Here's a picture of the wetland. A lot of pictures of the
Like
wetland.
the picture of the driveway, but.
Yeah. Just the soils and the wetland vegetation.
We have the
Soil.
contractor in now, if you want to introduce yourself. If you
Okay.
want to say hi, we're on 30 seconds.
Hello,
Hi.
Who are you?
Harry Plaus. I'm the contractor for 30 South Street,
Okay.
a friend of Patty's.
So can you just give us a brief description of the project?
Just a 6-foot by 15-foot 6 screened-in porch, farmer's porch style, on the driveway side of the house.
Is it going to be on pilings or foundation or?
Well, that's what I wanted to talk about. So it's on the driveway side, which is pretty compact. I mean, as far as less impact on the wetlands, I mean, I'll either dig footings or maybe patio blocks or.
Yeah,
Not specifically patio blocks, but a similar piece of granite or
I
whatever
would
the
think-
building inspector wants me to do.
Okay.
Oh, you can see it
All
right
right.
there. So it's gonna come out 6 feet off where the step is to go into the house, 6 feet, and it's gonna run from the corner with that downspout towards South Street.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Structurally, I mean, we're not here to,
Yeah, I was just
Critique
curious, right?
structurally,
But, yeah, we're not jurisdictionally ruling on that, but, okay. Yeah, I mean,
I'm a
our
little
main
confused because I
concern-
hear someone talking, but no one's lips are moving, so I don't know where to look.
that's the guy on the,
Oh, all right.
He's online.
This is my first time at one of these.
That's okay. First time for.
Yeah, very sneaky.
I'm like, who's the ventriloquist?
Yeah, so our two areas of concern would just be making sure you install erosion controls before the project starts and maintain them throughout the project, and then reseeding the area, after you're done. So, any issues with that?
Well, I don't think there'll be any reseeding because it's gonna go right where that grass is.
Okay, you may have some other disturbance while you're doing construction, right? So,
Yeah.
if not, that's fine, right? You just don't, particularly where you're upgrading of the wetlands, just don't want erosion and silt runoff headed down to the wetlands is really
Yeah.
what we're after. So, yeah, beyond that, I mean, I don't see any issues with this. Does anybody have any questions or issues?
pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so, Michael, you want to give us a motion to approve the MBZA for the deck at 30 South Street?
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry, before, and with the conditions that erosion controls be installed and maintained before and during construction, and that any remaining areas disturbed and not covered by the deck are reseeded. So, there you go. So,
But before I do that, so I just had a question. Sounded
yeah.
like he had a question, do we have any concerns about what type of footings or the impact to the ground? Are we saying we're neutral on that?
I think that's going to be a planning board decision, or Gus from planning will probably weigh in
Yeah,
more than
could I have,
was
I'll
just-
have a conversation with Gus about that, or something you guys
I
will discuss?
mean, you're going to need to submit plans to the building department anyway, right?
Right,
So-
but I needed to, I guess, go through this before.
Right, yeah,
Right.
yeah. So, I mean, I don't know, Michael, I was curious, right, so I was asking, but I mean, we can make a recommendation, I'm not sure it's jurisdictional, so I would.
Yeah, well, I
would
mean,
let it go,
whatever you
but-
guys recommend, just to get it going forward, because she wants it for, so she can sit out there and not get eaten by mosquitoes and.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, and since it's
What?
not inside the 50-foot, it's not a huge concern. Okay, all right, so I'll give you a motion to approve the MBZA with the conditions as discussed for 30 South Street.
Second. Vote to approve.
Vote to approve.
Approved.
Approve.
Approved.
All right.
Approved, all right, you're all set.
All right, so where do I go from here? Like, what's my next step? Just submit to the building department?
Submit to the building department. Yep, from conservation standpoint, you're clear to go.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, one of the steps
thanks
in
for
the
coming in.
building and permit process will be a conservation approval, and we'll just note to them that.
So should I wait to hear from you, or before I do anything, or?
We'll mail that out in the process, but in the meantime, when they ask about it, I think they'll probably have heard about this being on one of our hearings, and I'll let them know
All right.
that you got this conditional approval.
Great.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Good
Have a
job.
night.
Thank you.
All right, then we got the MBZA for 24 Bubbling Brook Drive. Do we have anybody here from 24 Bubbling Brook?
Homer said he was gonna try to make it, but he had submitted the pictures, I think.
Yeah, so, yeah, he basically submitted pictures validating responses to all of our comments. I took a look through, so it looked good to me. I feel like we could probably approve this, but I don't know if everybody else had a chance to look at the pictures.
I do have them up on the projector.
Oh, thank God.
Gee, Anna, did you go, you went out and visited this, right?
Yeah, I
Who-
went during the initial, before he had done anything.
Oh,
So-
before, that's right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, everybody feel comfortable we could approve this?
Looks good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Roger, you want to give us a motion to approve the MBZA for 24 Bubbling Brook?
I'll make a motion to approve the NBZA for 24 Bubbling Brook Drive.
Second. Vote to approve.
Vote to approve.
Approved?
Approve.
Approve?
Vote to approve, all right. Thank you. 381 Prospect, I don't think Rudy was going to be in because he was still working, he ordered the seed. This was the gravel berm. Is Rudy's not in, is he?
I don't see it
Okay.
in chambers.
Yeah, so he's still got to get back to us with when the seeding is done. He finished off the gravel berm, cleaned that up, and he just got to replant the dirt that leads down to the wetlands with native seed mix, which he confirmed he'd ordered. So we'll pick that up next time. Secrets of Compliance, 124 Maestro, historic OOC that's out there. Richard, you took a look, looked like it was good shape,
Yeah.
31 years ago.
It's in, yeah, we should approve that.
Okay.
He's got a 1.21 acre site, and most of it is just natural woodlands. I don't think they've done anything to it. And it's an intermittent dry stream in the back there that, so they're good to go.
All right, Nicole, you want to give us a motion to confirm the certificate of compliance for 124 Mastro Drive?
A motion to approve the 124 Mastro Drive COC. Excuse me.
Second, vote to approve.
Vote to approve.
Approved?
Approve.
Approve?
Approved, all right, that's approved. All right. 839 Upper Union, I know we had some email correspondence, I don't know if we had anybody coming in from 839 Upper Union.
What is this? COC.
All right, I know, Anna, you went out and you saw some concrete, I think, in the wetlands, right?
Yeah, it was a very minor amount of concrete.
Yeah, still, doesn't hurt to have to get that out of there, right?
Yeah, so that was one of the concerns, and then just some of the plantings were very dry. And one of the plantings was also different than what was initially proposed,
Okay.
so those were.
So, yeah, probably, I think Tyler had some back and forth on email with the applicant, so
Okay.
hopefully they can rectify some of that and come in and talk about it with us, but thanks for taking a look at that.
Yeah, I notified them, and they seemed a little, I think they were kind of uncertain about the concrete debris that was observed there, but that was where they had last left it
I
at,
think-
so.
Yeah, I think you had a nice picture of it, I thought, I saw.
Yeah, I sent two that had the,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
could see the concrete in it.
Okay. All right, so that's it for COCs.
Sorry, was that a motion to continue on that one? I just want to confirm.
I don't think we need to, because it's not a public hearing, I don't think we need to continue that, do we?
We don't need to vote to continue that.
I think if we don't vote to approve it, it just still hangs out there. So I don't think we need to vote to continue on that.
Okay.
my recollection. But anybody feels differently, we can make it happen. Then, what else? Then I think we've got the, hold on, back up. Somehow I lost that. Yep, the, extend the enforcement for 305 Union.
I just wanted to update, they have been updating us. It does seem like they're working with DEP, just wanted to weigh in on that. Sounds like they may have had a plan, a non-traditional plan of some kind.
It's just, it's
Yep. All right, so ironically, it's up to you, Richard, in the batting line. Extend the
305
enforcement
Union
order.
Street, we
Yeah.
have to extend the
For 30
enforcement order of that thing again?
Yeah, for
Is there
30
any
days.
chance at all that we'll get rid of this?
Oh, yeah, it's actually underway. It's not gonna be a short story, but there is progress.
It's been on the way for a couple of years.
Well, longer than that, yeah.
Yeah, no. That's one of the first things I did when I joined. Anyway, I'll give you a motion to continue the violation enforcement order for 305 Union Street for another 30 days.
Second.
Vote to approve.
Vote to continue.
Extend.
Extend.
Extend, whatever.
Extend.
Extend?
Vote to extend, it's extended. All righty, that's good. Then we are on to, the minutes for August 7th. The other thing I noticed, she was looking for the conditions for some of the approvals. Were you able to get those to her, Tyler, or do you need me to?
I can probably add them in. I think, yeah, it'll just be a matter of incorporating them in.
Okay, let me know if you need help with that. But other than that, it looked fine, so anybody else? All right, Louis, you want to give some motion to approve the minutes?
I'll give you a motion to approve the minutes for August 7th, 2025.
Second, vote to approve.
Vote to approve.
Approve?
Approve.
Approve. All right. Then we get discussion topics, Dacey Community Field Garden Volunteer Inquiry. Tyler, do you have any context on that?
That was where, so actually I learned from Bricolage just not too long ago, that is actually more Ryan Jetty's purview. That was where it sounded like a garden had been trimmed by DPW, so a resident had expressed some interest in volunteering with a group to like maintain it. So I did provide her with information to contact Ryan Jetty.
Oh, that's right, okay.
So that's,
All right, so,
we only just figured that out after we started kind of looking into.
okay. All right,
That
so
garden
that's-
was actually planted by the Ag Committee.
Okay.
Ah, I knew a guy who was on the Ag Committee once.
Yeah, I think I do too.
Is he still on the Ag Committee?
No, he's not.
Oh, he's with the cool kids now.
That's right.
All right, site visits. Bogostell Brook, I'm going to summarize this one, and Louis, if you don't mind. So, the challenge is we've got a resident that did quite a bit of work in the wetlands and buffer zones. The work's done, a lot of earth had been moved, a lot of stuff had been planted, a lot of mulch. So at this point, probably the best path forward would be some mitigation or remediation. And a good way to potentially accomplish that would be to put an enforcement order in place, right? Rather than go through a filing, which would require a public hearing. Just trying to, in my mind, I'm trying to think, what do we want to accomplish here, right? I mean, personally, I don't see us asking the resident to completely unwind the work that was being done. I mean, everything's up for discussion. So the best thing to do is how can we mitigate and remediate the impacts that were made in the wetlands and the buffer zones. And what's the most expedient route to get that accomplished, right? So, you know, it's ironic, we've just seen, it's gone to like 305 Union, right? So with enforcement order, the teeth in that really comes for when the person wants to sell the house, right? The enforcement order is attached to the title and the deed. That's usually enough weight to make sure that people get stuff done. You know, but it may be that, and our, you know, our options to force action here are somewhat limited. But that does have at least the teeth of attaching it to the deed. Actually, yeah, we weren't going to open this, so I don't think the residents here, Mark, I don't think is here from 8 Bogus Style. I'll give him a chance. I don't see anybody online, but at any rate, I mean, I've talked to the guy a couple times. Louis and Anna were both out there. You know, Louis made a suggestion that potentially we could ask him to take up the mulch and replant that area. That seems like a viable option to me. You know, there's probably other yard that isn't in the buffer or in the wetlands. You also, and Louis, maybe you can describe this, I guess, built a path through the wetlands on the other side of his yard. Is that kind of accurate?
Yeah, there's you know, just there's an area where it looks like the you know, there was some pushed vegetation into that area, which, you know, you have definitely some wet vegetation in that zone. So you know, along with the mulching that he's done, there's also you know, like an additional discovery that there was, you know, some encroachment into that wetland area, you know, I think, you know, first, you know, for the person not to continue it, but also to see how to correct that as well, because it seems like it was, you know, you do have some disturbances on top of the mulched area. And that was just a discovery when we went to the site walk that day. I think early on we had...
Did you guys grab any pictures by chance?
I do, yeah. Do you want me to show them, Anna? It's like...
Yeah, I have some up actually already if you want to see.
Yeah, go for it, yeah.
Anna, any other comments from you on?
I think you basically covered it. I mean, it looks like there's... so this is the path that you were describing that goes into the wetland. Here's another one. And then there was a stockpile of material within the wetland right here that's further down that pathway. There's also some areas of exposed soil within buffer zone. So this is that mulched area. And he also installed riprap at the base of this culvert within buffer zone. A lot of the plantings they installed are native species, but a lot of them are cultivars, so they're not just the straight species.
What's a cultivar?
It's like a variation of the plant, so they like genetically modify it to have like a certain color of the flower, or you know, the leaves can be variegated or something like that. So like with this species specifically, it's a winterberry, which is a native species, but it's the winter red variety of it. So it's not just the Ilex verticulata, it's Ilex verticulata winter rod.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think that's how it was with this dogwood too.
So what we potentially be recommending is, you know, Louis, I think your suggestion, like removing the mulch, then we've got some exposed dirt, replanting that with native species and seed mix. Yeah, remove the debris piled in the wetlands, right? And stop using that path that goes through the wetlands. So are those are, would you say, the potential recommendations, Louis and Anna, based on what you saw?
Yeah, and also the path needs to be revegetated too. But
Okay,
besides that,
yeah, so stop using and revegetate the path.
Yeah. know, they definitely look, without just going further in, it seems like there was a lot, definitely a lot of disturbance there. So, really, he's got to stop going into that area and then just clean that up as well. Looks like it was a
I
dumping
would
area.
say, I don't really anticipate a great response to our discussed move forward here. That the guy's been, not bad, but a little combative about a board in town managing what he was calling yard work. So, I'm not sure that we'll get Louis had a great educational conversation with him. I spent probably a cumulative 2 hours on the phone with this guy, trying to be pleasant, help him out. But he's, I think we've gotten him moved along close to the goal line, but I'm not, he's claiming he kind of blew his load in terms of funds on this project. So, but at any rate, I think, enforcement order, encouraging him to do the right things about the best we can do, get him to stop using that path, let him know that, essentially he'll never be able to sell the house until he completes this, which I hate to get snippy about stuff, but he's not gonna do this stuff willingly, in my opinion. So at any rate, just kind of context for what we're up against. But
I would tend to agree with that. I mean, the enforcement order, yes, but I think he's got to clearly know that it's attached to the deed, and should the house ever get sold, it's not going to go away. Because otherwise, I mean, if it's been ignored this long, he's just going to say, well, okay, now I'll ignore it and it's done.
I mean, his approach to me for the first two conversations was, look, you just got to blow this off. You shouldn't be bugging me with this stuff.
Right.
So, yeah. So I think that's probably our
I think it's the best way.
I guess we'll start.
Give them a list of the things we need to be done, and give them an enforcement order, and
Yeah.
see
Well,
what
I'll
Start
end
from
up
there.
having a charming
Do we
phone
need-
conversation with him. So it'll be
Don't we
awesome.
also need an after-the-fact NOI?
We don't necessarily need it, right? I mean, procedurally, the work's done. I mean, hey, do we want it permitted? I mean, it's kind of spitting in the wind. We can, right? But I don't think we're gonna get that, right? This is a matter of what, what do we think we can get this guy to do, and how do we motivate him, right? I mean, so that's what, that's why I think enforcement order is the best thing we could accomplish. But I'm open to anything, right? I mean, this guy's a challenge.
Well, can the enforcement order also require an after-the-fact NOI?
I don't know. Anna, do you know the answer to that?
I think so.
So similar lines, then we do this for 260 Daniels, when, they already had done the work, but we had them come back to give us a good plan how they're
So
gonna.
I would say that it's such a good analogy in my mind. I would say the difference is 260 Daniels, the work stopped and was in progress. And we had the ability, in my mind, to a certain degree, you want to use the process, the permitting process, the NOI, the RDA to impact the work that's being done, right? I mean, this is 100% fait complete now, right? We're looking to get after the fact action. I mean, I would rather force, I think we're only going to get so much out of this guy. I would rather force the mitigation and the remediation and focus all our energy on that, right? Because keep in mind, if we require him to do and he could do an RDA, it doesn't have to be an NOI, but you got to do a butter notifications, right? You got to file with the state. I mean, it's just a lot of stuff, in my opinion, and that it doesn't make it right. But there's just no way this guy's going to do that. So, I'm like concentrating all our efforts in mitigation remediation. consideration. That's just one opinion, not easy.
My only concern is the precedent it sets. Do we want to make it easier to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission?
It's a good question. If it were me, I don't know that I'd want to, as an applicant or someone putting a project is, wait till I get an enforcement order, but, yeah, I guess that's a consideration, Michael. I mean, it's a good point.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just trying to think.
Oh, no, hey, that's why we have a
long-term.
dialogue. Yeah, no, you make a valid point. That's why we talk about it.
Just because we did it once doesn't mean we have to do it again. I mean, setting a precedent doesn't say, oh, well, you gotta do it again. You know, it's up to what the commission decides. And we've decided that, yeah, we're gonna do it this time, but we're not gonna do it that time. Because the condition, the whatever, all
You know,
the
maybe,
facts have changed, so.
you know, I'll tell you what, Michael, you got me thinking here, right? And we don't have to decide now, but, you know, Bricolai's back 7 hours. I'm gonna try and talk to her. Maybe we'll just ask her if there's already a precedent for this, right?
Yeah, good idea.
Right? And I don't want to set a precedent either. I mean, I follow your logic. So I could ask her, hey, this must have come up before. You know, should we really push to get some kind of permitting process, or is the enforcement order enough? And I can do that. And,
She could really get her
we can-
teeth into this one.
I'm sure that's, yeah, this is the one she wants to come back on. Yeah, right.
We only got
Welcome
7
back.
hours. Like, here you go.
So, all right, I think that's a good takeaway. I mean, we didn't need to decide tonight. I mean, this guy's not gonna start planting tomorrow. You know, maybe what I'll do is I'll just say, hey, look, here are our concerns and what we're looking to have done. I can at least relay that to them and tell them we're talking about, you know, procedurally how we're gonna try and push to get that accomplished, but I can at least give them that information, so. Okay.
So one thing when I spoke to the homeowner, I asked him if there was anything else that he was gonna have done to his property as far as that, you know, that disturbance area. He said that, I believe he said maybe some fall cleanup, something maybe coming up. So I said, you know, I suggest that needs to be looked at, you know, as far as like if he's gonna do anything else within that area, because, you know, right now it's already disturbed, so I feel like it's, you know, it's not gonna be good if he continues this process. So that was kind of my suggestion to him, is to reach out to us if he's looking at doing anything else. And then also not to put stuff in the back of the wetland there, down that path.
Hey, can we get those pictures in the drive?
Yep.
Okay, that'll help me.
Actually, I just emailed them to you both, so.
Okay, cool, okay.
It's good that you're
All right.
reminded him, but if he's gonna tell us to,
Well, I mean, I don't want him to continue
gonna
on
do it
this,
anyway.
you know, he's,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
know.
especially, you know, the path there that
if
he's,
he's ignoring us,
you know, he's,
he's,
well, like I said, it's.
All right,
Could only-
so
you can only do so much.
we've
Don't
got,
do so much,
we
but-
got 11 PM cutoff, and we want to get to Matthew, so let's see if we can cook through some of this. So I want to get Anna some other observations. I've got 1 MacArthur Boulevard next.
Yep, so 1 MacArthur, so basically the homeowner, I didn't take a picture of the house, but this is the house right here. I did find like wetland indicators in this general vicinity of the house. I think I said it was about 70 feet from the house. He basically just was curious if he ever did want to do work on the side of the house, if he was within jurisdictional areas. So he didn't really have any specific plans or anything. And so I said, depending on what the work that is proposed in MBZA or NOI would be required.
Okay.
'Cause he was just saying he might build an addition on the north side of the house eventually, which is the side closest to the wetland.
Okay, so that'd be NOI, okay, all right.
Yeah, so it depends on what the work ends up being, but he was saying in 4 or 5 years I might do this, so that was basically
Hey, at least he
that.
has.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly, he's being conscientious. So then, 8 Brookfield Road was the next one, that was, we just wanted to see them seed the area, which they did very well. It was seeded very nicely. No exposed soil left. The only comment that I had made about this was when these erosion controls are removed, there will be probably exposed soil underneath these areas. And the owner told me that he intends to seed those areas.
Okay.
So that was.
So is this a open,
I think it was an MBZA.
is MBZA?
Yeah.
So Tyler, do we have that?
Yeah, this, I remember, I think we had talked about this at a couple previous meetings and then found out it was like some areas weren't seeded quite enough, and so asked them to do that. It sounds like they have, if I'm understanding.
Okay. So we could, all right, so why don't we, so we'll put the MBZA on for next meeting, and,
So, they have the MBZA. I think it's more of like letting them know that they are all set with having let us know.
Got
effectively,
it.
like,
Okay, yeah, so you let them know that, I understand, and this is, yeah, the follow-up conditions of the MBZA, got it.
Right.
All right, so you want to let them know that they are, from a Conservation Commission standpoint, unless anybody feels differently, we're satisfied that they've met all the requirements of the MBZA. We've closed it, no further action. Okay.
I'll let them know.
Thank you, Anna, on that
No
one.
problem. Okay, so then for Addison Ave, so this was one that the homeowner is proposing to build a pool in their backyard. There is wetlands within the woodland at the site. The pool would be within, let me see if I have a better picture. He said it was generally gonna be within this area. There would be some minor tree removal.
He's hitting a lot of buffer zones there, huh?
Yeah, definitely. I think he needs to provide a more accurate plan, because he kind of just provided something that I think I have a picture of it. That he just drew on the location. It's this one.
Just
Oh, no.
the spot.
Yeah, it definitely is. The wetland also, so here it is. This is the wetland line. I believe it's about accurate. There were no flags in the field, so there's no way to fully determine that. So then here's the proposed pool. So it's outside of the 25, but within the 50. Oh wait, I guess part of the hardscaping would be within the 25.
The decking would be there.
Yeah, so, but again, this isn't the fully proposed plan. So I think he would have to submit something, but it would probably be an NOI or an RDA.
All right, so he's looking for our input on what he needs to submit?
I believe so.
Boy, oh boy. I mean, putting a pool in that.
So we need a better plan and remind him to keep it out of the 25-foot buffer zone, for God's sake.
Well, that's kind of where I was going, Richard, I mean, so as it stands, you need to do it, NOI or an RDA, but I think, and I guess Tyler, we'd be emailing the guy, I think there's serious concerns from the commission about the location and size of the pool relative to the buffer zone, so may we recommend before he goes too far that he really reconsider that layout. I mean, I just hate to have the guy put something together, and I mean, this would be really tough to look at.
Yeah. He needs to be notified.
Everybody with that?
Make sure you put the buffer zones on there and be cognizant of where your pool's going.
Is this already disturbed area?
Partially. So he kind of, I think the problem with it too is that He's very good at landscaping and used like, oh, it's not this one, it's Addison. He used like a lot of native vegetation to do landscaping and kind of lets like a lot of nice herbaceous species come up within the area too. So it is disturbed, but not in the way that we generally would consider disturbed.
Nicely disturbed.
Yeah, so he has like a nice like wildflower buffer to his backyard, and then these nice birch trees that he installed, so it's kind of a...
Not gonna complain about somebody doing that.
Oh, that looks great.
It's a beautiful backyard. Yeah. So this would generally be the area that the pool's proposed in.
Okay.
Yeah, another thing to consider too is there was a good amount of invasive species within the woodland. So if he does want to do this, there could be mitigation of like removal of invasives or something like that.
So Tyler, you sent him a note, recommending the, based on what we've seen, it looks like they need an NOI, but we've got concerns about the amount of wool, particularly in the 0.25 buffer zone. So you may want to reconsider that when he submits his plans. I think it's fair. Everybody feel comfortable with that? Okay. That sound pretty good, Anna, based on what we've
Yeah.
seen?
I agree.
Okay.
He
So
also
Tyler,
might, yeah,
Yep.
he also might want to get the area redelineated. I'm not sure when those plans he provided were from, so.
Good point. Well, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my starting place with that, but I'm not sure really what his plans are moving forward.
Okay.
Okay, so then 78 Populatic Drive, this one's a tree removal project. So he had flagged the trees for removal, and I counted about 16 trees. It's very close to the, I think it's called Populatic Pond. Yeah, so here's the pond, right here. One of the trees is directly on the bank of the pond. Let me find a picture of that. I think it's this tree. Yeah, so the pond, you can see it in the background. It's like directly on the bank. So I suggested an RDA for this one, or an NOI, due to multiple of the trees being within 0.25, and then this one tree being directly on the bank of the pond.
And I'm sorry, I was looking at
Yeah.
some documents. You said are they dead or dying or?
They didn't appear to be. I'm not really sure what a few of them looked like they were, but, or didn't have as like good of a foliage cover, but not all of them. I think it's more like proximity to the house. I mean, the one that was on the bank is, I think I took a picture of it. You can see, yeah, this is the one that's directly on the bank. So this is like the roof of the house, so it's leaning over the side of the house.
Okay.
But seemed healthy.
All right, so Tyler, why don't we have them file an RDA, right? Okay.
Yeah, I think as long as he, leaves the stumps in the ground, it won't disturb or alter the wetland areas, so.
Okay.
Okay, and then my last one is 10 Populatic, which we all know. So this one, I guess we approved for the removal of these two trees, which occurred this past Monday. I haven't heard anything about the actual removal itself or if it occurred. I don't know if you guys got any emails about that.
I don't think we did, Tyler, did we?
I'd have to check again. It has been a busy week of communications, but I
Okay.
don't recall if she had that done
Okay.
just yet.
Okay.
So these are pretty close to the Charles River, where she has an open order of conditions right now for stabilization of this bank. So we suggested to amend the order of conditions for the removal of these two trees. She basically was saying these trees are hazards due to this being their well and it just being close to the eroding bank.
So they have an open order of conditions. What was, okay, that's what you said. So they had for stabilization of the bank, right?
Yep.
So they want to add the removal of the trees as additional conditions that, okay,
Exactly.
okay.
Yeah. So it's these two trees right here that are in proximity.
Tyler, do you have the order of conditions for this?
Not on hand right now, but in the records.
Yeah, not now, but yeah, if you could dig that out and, is everybody good adding those two trees to the order of conditions?
Sure. I'm good with it.
Yep.
What's the
All
reason
right.
again? Like, are they a danger?
Yeah, they're very close to her well, and they're very close to this eroding bank, so
Yeah.
she just wanted to kind of get on top of it prior to them falling due to the erosion or,
Okay.
and they're
thanks.
pretty large trees close to the house too, and her shed.
Yeah.
Okay.
The shed is right here in
I
proximity.
think the
to
problem
trees.
is if that bank collapses and they fall, they can tear up her well, right?
Yeah.
Move it around.
So, procedurally, I guess I have to check on this. I mean, I assume we could write these in. I don't know if we have to re-vote on the conditions, but we'll work on that. Maybe we can handle that next meeting. But if you could dig out the conditions on that one, Tyler, and send it over to me.
Yeah.
And then we'll, won't finalize anything until next meeting. We'll just kind of get our ducks in a row as to how we need to execute that if we're all comfortable, and then we'll see what we need to do to move forward. But I'll work on that. Okay.
Okay, that concludes my site visit, so.
Oh, Anna, you're
Thanks, Anna.
excellent.
And
Thank you.
just a note on this last one, it looks like the trees have already been removed. They were
She
gonna-
said they were gonna be removed on Monday by Stumpy's Tree Removal.
Yeah, the 18
Oh, that's
trees.
right.
Will be removed.
Yeah, we did say that.
So this is an after the fact.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, and I suggested if you guys want to do a follow-up site visit or something to see the work after, or just have her send some pictures.
Actually, yeah, let's, Tyler, could you see, do you have the resident's contact? Could you see if she'd send some pictures over?
Yeah, I think she did initially. I believe it was like a day just before I had to leave, so I might have made sure that you, Anna, Mark, and Louis had them to review, but I don't have them on hand at the moment, but.
Yeah, no, not now. Okay, all right, cool. All right.
Great.
Well, Anna, thank you, as always.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Anna.
no problem, I hope.
Sorry
hope
we
you guys
kept you
all
so
have-
late, but
That's
appreciate
okay.
it.
I'm going right to bed.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, have a good night.
All right.
Thank
good
you.
Bye.
One last thing, then we'll get to Matthew, our applicant, is we do need to formally vote Richard as our candidate for the Community Preservation Act. I guess we didn't realize we need to have a formal vote. So I will put forth a vote to approve Richard as our candidate for the Community Preservation Board. All in favor? Aye.
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 All right. We've got an official vote, so.
Okay,
Richard,
bang the
we
cup.
can get you approved. And thank you for doing that.
And I think one last thing before we can meet Matthew. I think it was also Beta's
Yep.
updated services scope.
Oh,
and
thank you,
fees.
Ty. Yeah, so, last week, we've been taking money out of the conservation fund to fund Beta's support of us. A lot of that has been these site visits we just went through with Anna. So we gave an emergency, I gave an emergency authorization for another $2,000 because they didn't want to stop the site visits in process. We drained the account down to zero. So hopefully you're okay with that, but figured better that than to, not have things continue. And we wanted to authorize an additional we've been doing this in $10,000 increments so that we have another $10,000 to continue having Beta work to support us and legalize maternity absence. Everybody good with that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Good.
All right, all right.
I don't know what we do
So
without them.
Yeah.
approve that. Thank you, Tyler. And then Matthew, hopefully you are still there. You're with us.
I am, yes.
All right.
He's changed his mind after this meeting.
It's like,
I should just say.
Matthew attended the longest meeting I've ever been to. I can't believe, but we are getting a bunch of stuff approved, so I think, or done next week. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your interest and what you thought? Is this what you expected?
Yeah, so Matt Stoltz, I live up on Haverstock, up on the north end of town. This is way past my bedtime, but that's all right. No, it was really interesting. I appreciate the opportunity to sort of sit and watch. Just a little about myself. I've been in Franklin now 16 years. Yeah, I'm here because my wife's from Massachusetts. I'm from Virginia originally. Been making my way north. I'm told this is as far as I'm allowed to go, however. Apparently it's too cold if we get any further than this. I have one kid in the school system here, Liam. He's 13. He dwarfs me at 13, so if you see me walking around with a small giant, that's my son. Yeah, and you know, I'm in sales, which is not that interesting. I'm a geneticist by training. Also turns out not to be that interesting, but it was interesting while I was doing it. And my interest really in this has sort of evolved over the years. You know, I have a house, so I get to do house projects. I'm very fortunate I have no wetlands anywhere near my house. Tonight just reaffirmed that I'm very happy about that fact because I don't necessarily want to have to go through the process myself. But I have a long-standing interest in all things outdoors, so you know I'm a hiker and a backpacker and a hunter and all these other sorts of things. But I also have a long-standing interest in how people interact with the outdoors and with nature, and how do you balance that, right? Because there is this balance that has to be struck between using the natural world and then preserving it at the same time. And you know there are certainly properties and places that are more sensitive, and you have to be more careful. And there are properties where, I mean, sure, you want to make sure that we don't pollute anything and things don't run off, but, you know, the impact to the broader Franklin ecosystem is not going to be as great. And it's just sort of a fascinating balance, and I'd be interested in partaking and help sort of strike that and figure out where it is. Roger, I was intrigued to know that you were once on the Agricultural Commission, because I am also a member of the Agricultural Commission now. It's a fairly recent thing. It's a fun group. I don't have a farm. I just wish I did. So, yeah, sort of just, you know, as I've reached a point in my life trying to get more involved in what goes on in town and both learn about how it goes, you know, sort of how it happens, but also lend a hand where I can. So that's my interest.
Good. Yeah, well, thank you for coming in. Appreciate your interest. Yeah, you saw quite an interesting meeting today. Definitely a little bit longer. We've had some projects that have kind of backed up that I think we're finally going to be bringing to a conclusion one way or the other. So you got to see procedurally how we execute that. You know, one thing we do is when we're potentially going to approve something, we put together conditions that we want to make sure are implemented either during or post construction. So we'll take the time between now and our next meeting to write those up, and then we'll have a formal vote. But that's why, you know, there's a couple topics, you know, you think, geez, why couldn't you just vote tonight? That's why we just want to make sure that we have the opportunity to put these conditions in place, read them into the record, and then when we vote on the project, if it is approved, that the conditions are then part of the approval process. So it's kind of an interesting component of the procedure that you witnessed. But you know, you also saw there's a lot of you know, various pieces of expertise and detail that come into these things. You know, you've got some people with some experience in a lot of different areas on the commission, but in many areas we're all lay people. You saw today, you know, one of the things we actually asked one of the applicants to do was, hey, could you put together a presentation in quote unquote layman's terms on stormwater, right, just to help us understand it. And this actually came out of a resident suggestion, and, you know, some projects we get a lot of resident participation, which is great, because it always gets us thinking about things differently, and this guy brought this up at one of our previous hearings. Hey, you know, I'd like to understand, you know, how this works, and also understand how you're making your decision on it, and it got us thinking and generated the request. So it's really a good collaborative process, and you have an opportunity to learn a lot. But those are some different things you saw tonight. Made the meeting kind of long, but very, very valuable time spent. You'll also find that, you know, many of these projects will go on for several meetings. There's some back and forth. You know, you heard the woman, Anna Hasner, and a guy, John Nero, very early in the meeting, worked for a third-party peer consulting agency that gives us some technical expertise, support, and input. So an applicant will propose something, and these guys will comment on it. So those are some of the things you witnessed tonight.
Yeah, I will admit it was good to see that there are technical experts on backup, because I will admit that some of the things that were being discussed, I was looking through and going, wow, I would have to do a lot of reading to know anything at all about that at any sort of competence. So good to know there are resources to help with that sort of thing.
You know, I will say there is a good amount of reading involved in this.
I can do that, it turns out.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, the plans we get, it does take some time to go through them, so.
Plenty of
some
opportunities to
comments.
take courses and
Good
get
point.
education. I mean, and the commission pays for it, so.
It's good to know, yeah.
A lot of reading and take some courses, and it'll come to you pretty quick.
Very good. All right.
You done?
Any other questions or comments from any of the other commissioners there?
Do you have any questions for us?
I have thousands of questions based on tonight, but we don't have time to go through them. So if I wind up joining you, I will be pestering you all with questions as we sort of go through a bunch of this stuff.
Okay.
Good deal. Well, thanks for sticking around.
Yeah, my pleasure. I appreciate it. All right.
Yeah, so I think what we'll do is, you know, we're running late tonight. I think we'll hold the discussion for the commissioner's standpoint. Matthew, we did have one other candidate, so our next meeting we'll discuss and vote. We physically take a vote who we want to recommend. We're all town council appointees. I don't think I've ever not accepted a recommendation, but that's the way the process works. So rather than try and shoehorn it in here, we'll do that at our next meeting, and we'll let you know.
Sounds good. I appreciate it.
All right, and look, appreciate your interest, appreciate you coming in and staying late, but you did get to see a good amount in one meeting, so you saw a good cross section.
Very good. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right. All right, with that, we can take a motion to close this rather hard.
We need to talk about the bridge first.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I went out
That's right.
to that bloody bridge.
So, yeah, so the bridge looks decrepit. I sent a note to Bricolage. There's another thing I was going to talk to her about. I think we want to try and use some funds to repair that, right?
I do.
Was
I
that-
don't think you can repair it. I think we need to build a new one. But
Okay,
we have to
replace
make
it.
a decision on whether you want to try to save the decking or not. And that'd be just a function of pricing it, what the new material would be, and see if it's worth the labor to try to salvage it. But there's nothing wrong with the design. I mean, it's 16 feet long, it's 4 feet wide. You put some new stringers in there and you'll be good to go. You just gotta find somebody that's gonna fix it.
My recollection was that we were all concerned about having an Eagle Scout or a volunteer do it from a liability standpoint. And correct me if I'm wrong, right? I'm just going by memory. And that we were more in favor of, if we were able to use conservation funds to rebuild the bridge. And I gotta confirm that we wanted to bring in a contractor so that way it was done professionally to limit liability. So, I mean, did I remember that right, or do we have different opinions? I'm open to anything. I was gonna talk to Bricolai about it. But that was kind of where I thought we left it.
Well, somebody did mention that having the Eagle Scouts, maybe that would expose us to some liability there. But
Right.
it's not
Plus, we don't have-
technically demanding to build this. You're just gonna tear the old one out, put 4 2x10s down and screw on the decking. So it's not necessarily really technically challenging. So I don't know legally what the situation would be.
Yeah, it might be a good question for Bricolai, because maybe, the town's insurance would cover it somehow.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think it would, but, someone falls off the bridge and cracks their head on a rock. Well, who built that bridge, right? I mean, it's one level of, I'm not a personal injury attorney, believe me, but I think it's one level, of liability if you have the thing professionally built and it's up to code and, plans and all that. But if, hey, Commissioner Mark went out and slapped the thing together and this guy cracked his head in a rock, that might be a worse situation. I think.
We could invest in a sign that said, use at your own risk.
Maybe that's the solution. I do feel like this has become pretty complex.
I think we do.
Yeah, plus it's right over a resource area too, so is there paperwork involved?
Well, there's that.
I mean, there's already one there.
Pretty disturbing.
That's a big stretch to
Yeah.
call that a resource area too.
It's a stream, isn't it?
So at any rate, I thought I'd talk to Bricolai about it, but, I mean, there isn't a current Eagle Scout in Hugh, all right? So that would take some time. We did talk to Ryan Jetty about that.
I don't think we ought to have Eagle Scouts do it.
It's more of it's beyond an Eagle Scout. I mean, you start digging in, as we all know, you start digging in any kind of repair and there's more there than,
You just go down there with a saw, cut it out and build a new one.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, so we're kind of in favor if it's viable to have somebody just professionally go in there and do it and spend the money. I mean, is that kind of, if that's acceptable?
If that's what
Bricolai,
they can do. It'd be nice if we could get the town to help us out. Can you pay them?
No, that ain't gonna happen.
You can't.
We have to pay for that. We're gonna pay to cut down our own trees. So, all right, well, I'll investigate that. No decisions made, but just wanted to kind of keep it moving.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for going out there, Richard. Appreciate the update.
Anything for the commission.
Feel the same. All right, anything else?
Let's
we wanna-
adjourn.
All right, I'm in. Who wants to give us a motion?
I'll give you a motion to adjourn.
All in favor? All right, good night, guys. Good job, thanks a lot.